faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who could change the course of mighty rivers, bend the steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Yes, fellows and girls, here is an important message for you. A message direct from our fighting Marines in the Solomon Islands, echoed by our blue jackets on the high seas, by the boys who wear our Army and Navy wings, our tank troops in Africa, our commandos in England. In fact, by every man in the American armed forces, no matter where he may be. And here's the message. We're going to win this war, they say. We're going to wipe Hitlerism and fascism off the face of the earth. We've taken on the job, and we're going to see it through, but we can't do it alone. We can't do it without the help of every boy and girl and every man and woman back home. Now, we know the one way we can help those boys fight this war to a victorious finish is to see that they get all the guns and tanks and ships and planes they need. But those things require an awful lot of money, and that's where you and I come in. We help our government to buy those war materials by lending them our money, by buying all the war stamps we possibly can as often as we can. And for the duration, let's pledge ourselves to do without those things we'd normally buy, things we can well do without, so that vital materials will be used for the manufacture of war goods. And the money we save may be turned into war-saving stamps to help pay for those goods. So let's promise to ourselves right now. Let's promise to buy war-saving stamps daily as often as we can. Remember that every dime is important, because 10 cents will buy 5 .45 caliber bullets to be used by our soldiers, sailors, and Marines. 5 dimes will buy enough fuel oil to take an American destroyer 1 full mile closer to its objective. And a dime a day from all the fellows and girls in the United States will buy enough fast pursuit planes to blast Hitler's Luftwaffe right out of the sky. So start right now to do your share to help win this war. Remember, every time you've got a dime, buy a war-saving stamp.
And now, the adventures of Superman. When Superman and his guise of Clark Kent and Lois Lane, girl reporter, decided to accompany Editor Perry White into the wilds of northern Canada, things began to happen. The purpose of the trip was to investigate an urgent letter White had received from an old friend of his, Sebastian Beauvais, owner of a hunting lodge in the Hudson Bay region. In the letter, Beauvais begged White to come to his aid at once, though he did not explain the nature of his trouble. While purchasing some necessary clothes in a sporting goods shop, Perry White was almost killed by a man who fired a rifle at him. The man, whose name was Kilrain, claimed that he did not know the rifle was loaded. But Kent, suspecting Kilrain, followed him to a penthouse apartment in a very fashionable part of town. Dropping his reporter's disguise, he confronted Kilrain in the penthouse apartment as Superman. Kilrain seemed mortally afraid of awakening someone whom he said was asleep in another room, and begged Superman to keep his voice low. Gripping Kilrain's arm, Superman tried to force a confession out of him. Listen.
Why did you fire that rifle at Perry White? Answer me.
I can't tell you. He do things to me.
Who would do things to you?
The Laugher.
The Laugher?
Yeah. He's called that because... Hey, wait. Did you hear someone moving?
Yes. Someone moved in the next room.
Then he's awake. Half an hour before his usual time. We woke him up, you and me. We did it.
Oh, you sound as if it was something to be worried about.
Oh, you don't know the Laugher. He's always laughing, but we shouldn't have woke him up. Nothing makes him madder than that. Hello, Laugher.
Well, I've witnessed some amusing scenes in my time, but this is the oddest. What a singularly queer picture to be confronted with when one is just wakened from a deep slumber.
I didn't mean to wake you, Laugher. This guy come through the window was almost breaking my arm, trying to get me to tell him something.
I forgive you, Kilrain. Such is my pleasure at witnessing so strange a scene that I feel generous. Sir, I know not who you are, but you and your costume amuse me mightily. I hope you're not offended.
Offended? Certainly not.
Sort of a little surprised, that's all.
Surprised? What do you mean?
At the reception you've given me. You see, Laffer, or whatever you're called.
Laffer. That is the name.
Well, you see, Laffer, I have amazed people, astounded them, sometimes even intimidated them. But I don't ever remember amusing them. This is the first time I've ever been laughed at.
And it distresses you? Oh, well then, sir, forgive me. I would not hurt you for the world. The truth is, it is my good fortune to see everything in an amusing light. Even funerals, sir, make me laugh until my chins quiver like jelly in a jar. Oh, you seem puzzled, sir. A bit baffled.
No, I'm not baffled. It's just as you find me amusing, I find you a little queer. I've never met anyone like you.
I'm not adverse to being considered unique. Come, sir. I have criticized your costume, told you what I find you amusing. Tell me what you think of me.
You remind me of a frog. A puffed-up, bloated, unhealthy frog. That fat face of yours with its triple chins and its gray color, your mountainous body, your fat fingers covered with diamonds.
Ah, yes. I love jewelry.
That's easy enough to see. You're practically covered with them. If you don't mind my saying so, it's a bit sickening, almost as sickening as your laughter.
Sir, in you I see at last a man worthy of my medal. I will tell you something. When I first laid eyes on you, I knew you were my enemy. But I knew more than that. You are my enemy to the death. When our acquaintance is at an end, sir, one of us will not be alive. Does that not amuse you?
I've never been able to see anything amusing in death.
That is unfortunate. But come, sir, let us know one another better. Who are you? And why do you wear that gaudy costume, that red cape, that blue suit?
I have a reason for wearing it, which we won't go into. As to who I am, I'm called Superman.
So you are Superman? I've heard of you.
Well, now I am flattered.
Well said, sir. Well said. Superman. Perhaps that is my fate. Perhaps here stands before me the one being who will in the end defeat me. But no matter. Tell me, Superman, what are you doing here in my apartment?
I followed your friend, Kilrain. Something happened this afternoon to some acquaintances of mine, something I didn't like. I decided I'd better investigate.
Tell me about it.
I think you know. However, just to be sure we understand each other, I'll go over it briefly. Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet is planning to leave tonight by plane to visit a friend of his who owns a hunting lodge in the Hudson Bay region of northern Canada. This friend, a man named Sebastian Beauvais, has called on White for help which he desperately needs.
Yes, indeed. Continue.
Well, several friends of mine, Clark Kent and Lois Lane, both newspaper reporters, and probably a young boy named Jimmy Olsen, are going along with Mr. White. This afternoon, they visited a sporting goods shop to buy equipment that they'd need. While they were purchasing it, Kilrain came in and pretended he was interested in looking at some rifles. Quite by accident, one of the rifles went off, just as Kilrain was pointing it at Mr. White, not 10 feet from him.
How unfortunate. How desperately unfortunate.
It wasn't really, because the bullet somehow missed White, even at that close range.
You mean that Perry White is not dead?
Listen, boss, listen. Hey, Laffer, don't get that look on your face.
Do be quiet, Kilrain. Am I to understand that White is not dead, sir?
You are. The bullet missed him.
Odd. Extremely odd. It's the first time you've made a mistake in years, Kilrain.
I don't understand it myself. Honest, I don't. I couldn't have missed him, and yet
And yet you did. Well, that's unfortunate. Most unfortunate for you, Kilrain.
Listen, boss, Please,
Needless to say, Kilrain, you'll suffer for this.
Laffer, I tried my best.
Quiet, you fool. So then, Superman, you came here to force a confession from Kilrain?
That's right.
No need for a forced confession. No reason that I can fathom why you should not be told what you wish to know. Kilrain did attempt to kill Mr. White at my orders.
You admit it?
Why not? What can you do about it? Certainly you can't prove it.
No, that's true, I can't. I haven't any proof as yet.
And you will never have any proof, Superman.
Well, that's to be seen.
Why do you want Perry White out of the way?
Mr. White, I tell you in all honesty, will never reach Hudson Bay alive. Nor will Miss Lane, nor Mr. Kent, nor the young boy you mentioned. An unfortunate circumstance from your point of view. An amusing one from mine. Since I shall find extreme delight in devising means of keeping them out of Canada at the cost of their lives, if necessary.
Why are you so anxious to keep them out of Canada?
You are very inquisitive, aren't you? Nothing but questions.
Now, look here, I've had enough of this. You'll tell me what I want to know, or...
Don't try to defend me, Kilrain. It isn't necessary.
But he's got his hands on your throat.
And I haven't even started.
Of course you haven't. I can sense your fingers amazingly strong.
You'll find out how strong unless you talk.
What will you do? Kill me? You could do that easily. But where would he get you? Nowhere. Besides, I suspect you are not the killer type. You will inflict pain if necessary, but you will not kill.
What are you driving at?
If you would take your fingers from about my throat. Thank you. I do find it easier to talk. You ask me what I'm driving at. Simply this. It is my belief that I am possessed of the greatest brain in the world. You, by reputation, are the most powerful human ever created. We must try our strength against one another. Pit courage against courage, brain against brain, power against power.
You're making a big mistake. You haven't a chance.
We shall see. You won't kill me, and no amount of pain inflicted will make me do your bidding. So then you must seek other means to destroy me. Clark Kent and Lois Lane and Editor Perry White leave tonight by plane for Ottawa? I think not. For I shall think of some way of stopping them. Let us see if you can catch me before I catch them. It'll be a hard fight, but a merry one. Now shall I show you to the door?
I'll leave the way I came, through the window. But I warn you, you'll suffer if anything happens to those people.
It will be your job to see that nothing does. And so until we meet again, goodbye.
Goodbye. Up, and away!
Great heaven. Did you see that, Kilrain? He actually flew out the window. Now, by heaven, that is the most amazing thing I've seen in years. He actually flew out of the window. It's amazing.
With his triple chins quivering, the strange diamond-studded creature gazes out the window at Superman's departing figure. But even as laughter rocks his huge body, his small, dark eyes narrow into ominous slits. Who is this man known only as the Laugher? Why is he trying to prevent Perry White from reaching Hudson Bay? This is no ordinary enemy Superman is pitted against. Be with us again tomorrow for another thrilling episode. Yes, and listen every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman.
Fellas and girls, don't ever get the idea there's nothing you can do to help win this war. Because there's one important thing everyone can do. Buy war stamps regularly. Now, we've all heard news commentators speaking about inflation. And you and I know it's just another name for prices of goods going sky high. Just because everyone wants the same things and there aren't enough of them to go around. Now, one of the best ways to prevent inflation is to always stop and think before you buy anything. Ask yourself, do I really need this? If you don't, and you go ahead and buy it anyway, you may be preventing someone who does need it from buying it. So if you make a habit of thinking before you buy, you'll find you're saving quite a bit of money with which you can turn into war stamps. And remember the slogan that we've adopted. A stamp a day will pave the way to victory.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman! Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
This is Mutual.
Oh, excuse me. Hello?
Hello, John.
Hello, Daddy. What are you so depressed about?
I'm going to the movies.
Well, you make it sound like work. Going to the movies is pleasure.
I'm not going alone, John.
Oh, Snooks?
Snooks is not the only one that's going with me. I'm wheeling Plato and Hibiscus.
Wheeling who?
The twins. I don't know what she expects me to do with that blessed baby carriage, or the kids either, for that matter. But my wife says we're going to the movies, and so...
It's the movies, yes. Well, get it over with as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Goodbye, John. Goodbye.
Well, if I ever heard a suicidal note in a man's voice, that was it. Poor Daddy.
Snooks, have you got that little package to take along for the twins?
Uh-huh. What's in it, Daddy?
Oh, just stuff they might need. Where is it?
I put it in the carriage, and I put the carriage in the street.
All right, let's get out of here.
You know, the twins look exactly alike, don't they, Daddy?
For a boy and a girl, yes. Hurry up, don't dawdle.
It's a lucky thing I found out how to tell them apart.
How do you tell them apart?
Well, I stick my finger in Pluto's mouth.
Plato.
Yeah, Plato. I stick my finger in Plato's mouth, and if he's got a tooth, it's hibiscus.
Oh. Well, that's a good way, too. All right, Snooks. You, wheel the carriage.
Why?
Good practice for you. Besides, it doesn't look good for the neighbors to see me always pushing these kids around.
Then why do you do it?
I do it to relieve Mummy. She gets tired of pushing them around, too.
She don't get tired of pushing you around.
Keep your voice. Now, go on. Wheel the carriage. Oh, I'm glad the theater's only a block away.
Can I have one of the twins to wheel in my toy baby carriage, Daddy?
You've got a doll to wheel in it.
Yeah, but my doll always gets broke when it tips over.
Well, I'm not going to let you demolish the twins.
Why?
Because live children are not as easy to get as dolls. Thank heaven. Can you see that sign on the theater?
Where?
On the marquee. What's playing there?
Oh, I've seen it, Daddy. It's that Irish actor again.
What Irish actor?
He's there all the time. Matt Daly.
That's matinee. What's the name of the picture?
Says Bambi.
Bambi?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand those broken-down baseball pictures. You want to see it?
It ain't about baseball, Daddy. Didn't you tell me Bambi was a little deer?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking? Yes, that'll be a good picture for you to see. Animals and stuff like that.
Are we going to take the twins inside?
No, I think they have somebody to watch the baby carriages. This is a housewife's matinee.
Are you a housewife, Daddy?
No,
Why?
because a housewife is not a man. A housewife is the weaker half of a married couple who is dominated by the lord and master. Am I a housewife?
Uh-huh.
The child is right. Well, wheel the carriage right into the lobby, over in the corner.
Look at all the men with baby carriages, Daddy.
Oh,
Oh.
poor henpecked slobs.
Oh.
Good thing I brought you along to push ours. Park it right there and get a check for it.
Yes, Daddy.
I'll get the tickets. Never thought the place would be so crowded.
The twins is hollering, Daddy.
What's the matter with them?
I know.
They're probably hungry.
Did you bring along an extra?
Yes. I brought along an extra milk bottle.
I wasn't going to...
Never mind what you're going. Open that package and give them a swig of the bottle. I don't want to lose my place.
All right, Daddy. Now, don't go in without me.
I won't. Wish I had the nerve to. Oh, I'm sorry. Two, please. One adult and one child. Oh, thank you. Come on, Snooks.
I'm coming, Daddy.
Are the twins quiet?
Uh-huh.
Good. I think you'll enjoy this picture, Snooks.
Has it got kissing?
Kissing?
Oh.
Well, what do you want to see pictures with kissing for? You don't like kissing, do you?
Don't I?
Well, there isn't any kissing in this. It's nothing but animals.
I like Gary Cooper. He kisses good.
Getting more like your mother every day. Well, come on and hang on to my coat.
It's dark in here.
Don't make any noise.
Why?
Because you'll disturb the people watching the picture. Can you see any seats?
Yeah. But there's people in them.
Oh, haven't they got an usher in this broken-down place?
How far down, please?
Oh, well... any place at all.
Would the little girl like to sit down in front?
Nah.
Why not?
'Cause I don't bend that way.
Any seat will do.
All right, follow me, please.
Who's flashing that light, Daddy?
Quiet. It's the usher. She's going to show us to our seats.
Is she going to sit with us?
No,
Why?
because...
Oh.
Watch your step, please. Here are 2 seats.
I want to sit in the first row.
Oh, sit down.
It's too lumpy.
Hey, get off my lap.
Oh, excuse me, mister.
Snooks, come here and sit down. Now, don't make a sound.
All right, Daddy. Daddy.
Oh, shh. What is it?
Tell me a story.
Are you out of your mind? You're going to see Bambi in a minute, as soon as the short is over.
What short?
The picture that's on now. It's a fishing short.
I can't see nothing.
Look at the screen. See those 2 men fishing?
Why ain't they talking?
You don't talk when you fish.
Why?
I don't know. Keep quiet.
I want to hear the men talk.
Maybe one of them will talk soon.
When?
Right away.
No, now.
Ah, shut up with that racket!
Which one was that, Daddy?
It was the man behind you. I told you you'd start trouble.
Listen, kid, if you keep quiet, you can have this orange. Here.
Oh, well, Snooks. The nice man gave you an orange. What do you say to him?
Peel it.
Peel it! Give me that orange back.
Hey, what are you doing? Give the child her orange back.
Her orange, she just poked me in the eye.
Well, poke her back. But don't take the orange from her. What are you, an Indian giver?
Please, you'll have to stop that noise.
You mind your own business. Stop 'em, Dad.
Shut up. Oh, we'll keep quiet, miss. I'm sorry, mister.
Well, okay. Here's the orange, kid.
Thank you. Will you please peel it, mister?
Well, when you ask me like that, sure.
Yes, that's better, Snooks.
Here you are, little girl. All peeled.
Will you please split it open for me, sweet little mister?
Well, certainly. There we are, all split open.
There. Isn't he a nice man, Snooks?
Yeah.
Why did you squash the orange in the man's face?
I'll kill her.
Well, wait a minute, please. Snooks, don't you like this man?
Uh-huh.
Then why did you push the orange in his face?
'Cause I hate oranges.
You little...
The Treasury Star Parade. The United States Treasury presents the popular radio program, Morty's Diary, based upon the world-famous stories by Graham and Sarah Lorimer and adapted for radio by Albert G. Miller. Morty's Diary stars Charita Bauer with Elliot Jacoby's orchestra and is produced under the direction of Basil Lothran. You can do your share in supporting America's war efforts by investing your dimes and dollars in United States war savings bonds and stamps regularly, every week, every payday. Remember, these war bonds and stamps are the safest investment in the world. Your investment in the future security of America. We must fight, work, and save for victory. Morty's Diary. The first radio story to present the intimate thoughts and jabberwacky of that 16-year-old girl who lives on your street. Here she is, Maudie Mason.
Diary, dear. We girls in our sorority, like Americans everywhere, are trying to put 10% of our weekly earnings or allowance into war bonds. Now, of course, anybody who doesn't save 10% for war bonds is strictly a crab-apple Annie. And since my allowance is microscopic, Davy and I cornered Father the other morning just as he was heading for the front door. Father, dear, for once I'm not going to beat around the bourgeois. I need money in respectable weekly chunks.
I suspected you were going to ask me for money, Morty. Just, what do you need it for?
So I can have a decent income, so I can put 10% of my income into war bonds, so our boys can have the guns and tanks and planes and ships to lick those loonies. Phew.
Boy, that's a longer sentence than you'd get for manslaughter.
Well, Morty, I'm very proud to hear what you're doing, but don't you think that it should be 10% of your money and not mine?
But what'll I do, Father? I've used up all my money.
Well, you have a good brain, Morty. Why don't you put on your thinking cap and figure out a way of getting some sort of steady income?
What kind of a way, Father?
Oh, I don't know. The world is full of money-making schemes.
Sure, and the jails are full of the guys who think them up.
No, Davy, I mean honest schemes. I tell you what I'll do, Morty.
What, Father?
If you think of a good money-making plan, I'll invest in it or contribute to it or whatever you say. Goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. Jeepers weepers, Davy. Here I am again with Mother away and that old money problem leering at me.
Ah, money. Holy cow, if I could get a lot of money, I think I'd even give up my beauty.
Well, that's no sacrifice.
You know, honey, if I ever had a hobby, it'd be pouring a pitcher full of gold pieces over my head every morning like ice water.
I think if I had a hobby, I'd... Wait a minute. Hobby.
Says which?
Hobby. Oh, Davy, that gives me a gigantic thought.
Like what, if I'm not too inquisitive?
Well, I just thought of a man I heard on Hobby Lobby a few months ago. This man's hobby was to put coin machines all over his house.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. The guy's idea was to force himself to save dough.
That's right. Practically everything he does at home costs him money. For instance, if he wants to play his radio, he first has to drop a quarter into the coin meter.
Yeah. Well, it even cost his wife 2 bits for the pleasure of doing the wash.
Davy, what a monumental idea. Father said I should think up a money-making plan, and this is it. I'm going to put coin meters all over this house.
But how? I mean, it's going to take an electrical genius to make them and install them.
Oh, that's easy. I'll get Gus Apple to do it.
Gus Apple?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's that young Einstein in our physics class.
Sure. Coin meters all over our house. Oh, Davy, my income is practically rolling in already. What time is it, Davy?
5:30.
Golly, I'm glad we're home. I'll have to start Father's dinner right away.
Hey, do you suppose Gus Apple is still inside putting up those coin meters?
Oh, no, I saw Gus over at the marble slabs about an hour ago. He said he finished about 3 o'clock.
Oh.
Golly, I'm all a-quiver to see where he put all those meters.
Yeah.
Oh, Davy, I can't unlock the door. Look.
Well, what do you know?
He put a 10-cent meter over the keyhole.
It's going to cost your father a dime to get in.
And it's going to cost you the same amount.
What do you mean?
Now, Davy, don't argue. It's getting late. Put a dime in that meter and let's go inside.
Oh, doggone it. You're the most expensive luxury I ever had.
There. The meter's ticking. The iron plate's moving up. Quick, Davy, unlock that door before it slides back.
Okay. Whew, we made it. Get in quick.
Golly, this is a snaky idea. Why, I'm going to be rich.
Ah, that's fine. You can stand outside the poorhouse and make faces at me.
Oh, goodness, the telephone. I wonder who it is. Hello?
Morty, dear. This is Father.
Oh, hello, Father. Where are you?
Down at the office. Morty, I'm bringing Mr. Fish home to dinner.
Davy, Father's bringing his boss home for dinner.
Fish for dinner, and it isn't even Friday?
Morty, who is that making all that noise?
Oh, it's only Davy. His 2 heads are carrying on a conversation.
Well, be sure to have everything just right with you, dear. Mr. Fish has had a miserable day here at the bank. We'll be there at 6:30.
All right, Father. You and Mr. Fish are coming at 6:30. I'll have to fly. Bye, Father.
Hiya, gentlemen.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Fish.
Good evening.
Come right in. Hello, Father, dear.
Hello, Morty. Now, listen, darling, I don't think it's very nice to play a prank like that. It cost me 10 cents to get into my own front door. And I had to borrow the money from Mr. Fish.
Oh, now, Father, don't scold me. You said that if I thought up a workable scheme to earn money that you'd play ball. Remember?
Oh, yes, I did say something like that, didn't I?
That's a cute trick, making a guest pay a dime to get in.
Yes, sir. We thought you'd like it.
I didn't say I liked it. I said it was cute.
Oh.
Well, Morty, it's nice you let me come for dinner. I'm so hungry I could eat a rhinoceros.
Well, you might have to, Mr. Fish.
Oh, Morty, is anything wrong?
Well, Father, I'm afraid that dinner won't be ready for quite some time.
I'm sorry, S.K. I guess we're going to have to be hungry a little while longer.
Well, I don't mind, Mason. You know what a day I've had at the bank. I wonder if I could make myself at home and go upstairs and take a shower.
Oh, Mr. Fish, I don't think you'd better.
Why, certainly you can take a shower. I think it's a grand idea. Come right along, S.K. I'll show you the bathroom.
There's nothing like a shower and a home-cooked meal. I'm certainly looking forward to dinner.
Everything all right in there, S.K.? Clean bath towels?
Yes, Mason. I'm all ready for my shower.
Well, that's fine. Call me if you want anything.
I will. By the old mill stream. Mason. Mason?
Did you call, S.K.?
I certainly did. What's the big idea?
Idea? Idea of what?
Don't stand outside shouting. Open the door and come in.
Aye. What's the trouble?
What's the trouble? There's a quarter meter on the hot water spigot.
Oh, Lord.
Never heard of such a thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, S.K.
Don't stand there being sorry. Get a quarter.
But I haven't any change, remember?
No change. Okay. Get a quarter out of my coat pocket over there.
Oh, I'm sorry about this, S.K.
Mason, will you please stop being sorry and get me that quarter?
Oh, all right, S.K. I hope you'll forgive us. This is a money-making scheme of Morty's.
Money-making scheme? It's a criminal plot.
Here. Here's your quarter.
Oh, thank you. It works.
Oh, thank goodness.
Hot water at last. All right, Mason, thank you very much. I'm sorry I lost my temper.
That's all right, S.K. Sorry you lost your quarter. Well, have a good shower.
I will. Down by the old mill stream. Down by the old mill stream. Mason, I'm sorry I lost my temper upstairs, but you understand. Hard day at the office and all that sort of thing.
Oh, certainly. Think nothing of it.
By the way, what's in that cabinet over there?
Oh, of course. You'd like a little refreshment before dinner, huh? Oh, dear.
What's the trouble?
There seems to be a quarter meter on the refreshment cabinet. I hate to ask you again, S.K., but...
Never mind. This time it's worth it. I'll work the meter myself.
Well, I'll go get the ice and the glasses.
Okay. I'll just reach in here and take out a few of these bottles. Say, it's very nice stock that you have in here. Whoa! My finger!
S.K., what happened?
The door closed on my finger.
Oh, Mr. Fish, what's the matter?
Hey, what happened?
Oh, this cabinet door slammed shut on my finger.
Oh, that's too bad. We should have told you.
You should have told me what.
Well, this meter is different. You're only allowed 10 seconds.
Yeah, you're only supposed to grab one bottle.
One bottle is all I did grab. Oh, my finger. It's probably broken.
Oh, S.K., I can't tell you how sorry we are.
I can't tell you how sorry I am either.
Well, if you're both that sorry, I guess it won't hurt to bring up one more little problem.
What's that?
We need 3 more quarters for the kitchen.
Oh, dear. S.K., I wonder if...
No, sir. Not another cent. Not another mill.
Well, could you spare a slug?
Ever since I came into this house, I've poured out a steady stream of silver. For what it's already cost me, I could have had dinner at Buckingham Palace.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. Fish, because I think you'll have to have dinner somewhere else.
What?
Morty, You mean to say dinner isn't ready?
No, Father. You see, there's a meter on the stove. It eats up a quarter every 3 minutes.
And the meter on the icebox has to be fed every 2 minutes.
So Davy and I ran out of change a half hour ago.
Oh, this is terrible, Morty. Mr. Fish is hungry.
Well, maybe he'll donate $1 or so in chicken feed.
I'll do no such thing. Young lady, will you kindly tell me what this is all about?
Why, yes, Mr. Fish. I'm trying to earn an income so that I can invest 10% of it each week in war bonds.
You are?
Of course. It's something that every American should be proud to do.
Yeah, and anybody who doesn't is kind of icky.
Icky? Is that good or bad?
It ain't good.
Golly, I honestly do want to buy bonds, but instead I guess I'm just going to have everybody mad at me. No, I really do wish I was dead.
Oh, now, Morty, don't say anything like that.
But, Father, you are mad at me.
Well, I thought I was, but now that I've thought it over, I don't think I am. Morty, I'm really proud of you.
Morty, I'm proud of you, too.
Oh, Mr. Fish.
Come on, I'm going to take you all out to dinner.
Oh, boy.
Okay, I'll go phone for a taxi.
Oh, Mr. Fish, I better warn you, there's a meter on the phone for outgoing calls.
Then I'll go outside and call a taxi. Hurry up now, I'm as hungry as a bear.
Mr. Fish, wait, that isn't the right door.
Uh-oh, we're cooked.
Hey, let me out of here. Where am I?
Oh, that's what I tried to tell you. That wasn't the front door. You walked right into the closet.
Well, open it up. I'm stifling.
We can't open it without a quarter.
Yes, Morty has the right idea. We must all do everything we can to help our boys defeat the Nazis and Japs. Our fighting men have pledged their lives for victory. Do your share now and pledge your dimes and dollars for United States war savings bonds and stamps. Uncle Sam needs at least 10% of our national income to help finance America's war efforts. Budget your income and invest at least 10% of your total income every week or every payday in war bonds and stamps. This is your country. Keep it yours. Morty's Diary, written by Albert G. Miller and starring Sharita Bauer with Elliot Jacoby's orchestra, was produced by Vassal Lockwood. This is Larry Elliott speaking for the United States Treasury Department and suggesting that you check your local newspaper and tune in the Treasury Star Parade.
Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower back to CX-4. Wind southeast. Ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in. Fellas and girls, as you listen to the roar of Hop Harrigan's plane as he brings it in, doesn't it make you think of Uncle Sam's fighters and bombers that are right this minute making the Nazis and Japs wish they'd never started this war? I'll bet it does. And I'll bet many of you think of the day when you will be flying an Army or Navy plane, or when this war is over, piloting a big commercial transport. Yes, sir, you fellows and girls who are planning careers in aviation are on the right track, because the rapidly expanding aviation industry will have room for plenty of well-trained men and women, young men and women. You fellows who are planning to become Army or Navy aviation cadets as soon as you reach the required age, and you boys and girls who are looking ahead to careers in commercial aviation when this war is won, you should and you can begin your training right now while you're still in school. You know, it takes the Army and Navy Air Forces many months to make a flyer out of a cadet because it requires hard work and lots of study before a cadet is even permitted to get into a plane.
That's why the Air Forces so heartily endorsed the program of pre-flight aviation now being established in high schools all over the country. This program, sponsored by the United States Office of Education, makes it possible for you to begin preparing right now for the day when you will start your training as a military or commercial flyer. This program includes courses in aerodynamics, theory of flight, navigation, communications, engine design, in fact, all the fundamentals that are necessary for good airmen. Remember that by taking these courses as part of your high school curriculum during regular school hours, you will save many valuable hours of training later on. So find out now if these pre-flight aviation courses are available in your high school and sign up for them at once. If they are not yet available, talk with your high school principal about them and ask him to include them in the curriculum for the next semester. For any additional information regarding high school pre-flight training, write the U.S. Office of Education in Washington, D.C. America needs flyers. And now to our story. Rescued from a disabled crash launch, Hop Harrigan and Tank Tinker, together with the wounded Alf Smithers and their Nazi prisoner, Captain von Strondheim, are aboard an English corvette, ordered to escort 5 freighters to Murmansk, Russia. Unable to be put ashore, Hop and Tank radioed their situation to Colonel Maitland, who ordered them to join a British pursuit squadron in Russia. As the corvette and its 5 freighters entered the North Sea, the whine of a heavy shell cut through the black night and exploded behind the corvette.
Great Scott, we're being shelled.
What can we do, Lieutenant Woodley?
Those freighters are loaded with munitions. They must get through, Harrigan.
Hey, what's all the noise about?
Tank, we're being attacked by Nazi surface vessels.
No kidding. Well, why don't we shoot back? Them guys are popping at us. Why aren't we popping at them?
They're out of range, Tinker. Using 8-inch shells, and our biggest guns are 4-incher.
I thought corvettes carried 6 inches.
They usually do, but this boat was designed for coastal patrol and not for battling heavy cruisers.
Well, what do we do, sir?
Well, according to our chart, we're 280 miles northeast of Leith and the same distance from the Shetland Islands. We'll have to try to keep the Nazis busy long enough to let the freighters scatter. Thank heavens the fog's thick.
Look, Lieutenant, ain't there a gun on board I could use, maybe? I've been a target long enough. I want to start throwing some lead.
You'll get your chance, Tinker. There were only some way to decoy them. Lure them away from the freighters.
Hey, wait a minute. That gives me an idea.
Well, what is it, Harrigan?
Oh, no, it's no good. I forgot this corvette doesn't carry a motor launch.
Well, what about a lifeboat?
Say, that might do. Will it carry a machine gun?
Certainly. But what's your plan?
Well, you mentioned decoying the German boats and getting them away from the freighters. Now, I think Tank and I can do just that with a lifeboat.
Are you out of your mind, Harrigan?
Oh, not quite. We'll load the lifeboat with machine gun, dynamite, depth charges, anything that you have on board that's portable and will explode.
Yes?
And you leave the lifeboat here with Tank and myself on board. You take the corvette into the fog bank with the freighters.
You mean we're going to fight them Nazi warships from a rowboat?
No, Tank. We're not going to fight them. We'll simply act as a decoy. We'll set up a terrific racket. Then the Germans will think that the corvette is still here. In the meantime, Lieutenant Woodley can sneak around the enemy flotilla with his freighters and head for Russia.
Harrigan, if you think I'd consider permitting you and Tinker to engage in that kind of suicide mission, you're mad.
Oh, don't worry about us, Lieutenant. Just give us some food, water, and a compass. After we've done our job, we'll make for the Shetland Islands. Those munition freighters have to get through. It's our duty to see that they do. The Russians are doing a terrific job in holding the Nazis back. The least we can do is give them the guns and the ammunition they need to fight.
There's no argument on that score, Harrigan.
Oh, gosh, I'm glad to hear you say that, sir. Now, if you'll get the lifeboat ready, sir, Tank and I'll shove off.
I want to shake your hand, Harrigan. And yours, too, Tinker. With America sending us men like you, we can't lose.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, gosh, thanks.
I'll have the boat made ready at once. Mr. Harlow, Mr. Wiggins, get lively, men.
Oh, gosh, Tank, I didn't even bother to ask you whether you wanted to go along. After all, it's a dangerous
Brother,
job.
would you like a sock in the beezer? You just try and leave me behind.
Attaboy. Oh, boy. This rowing sure tough work.
Hey, ain't we getting a little closer to those Nazi warships, Hop?
Well, I think we're near enough, Tank. Stop rowing. Let's ship oars.
Okay.
Here, get them out of the way.
All right.
Now, look, Tank, here's what we do. You hear those guns booming?
Are you kidding?
Well, they're firing at where they think the corvette is. Now, it's our job to make them think that we're the corvettes and draw the fire to us.
Oh, Hop, with just this little lifeboat?
They can't see us in the fog, Tank, but they're going to hear us.
You mean we're going to shoot all this stuff off at them?
That's right, Tank. You handle the machine gun, and I'll toss the dynamite bomb.
Oh, what do I shoot at? I can't see nothing in this fog.
You just shoot in the general direction of the Nazi fleet. All we want to do is draw their fire.
Jumping Jennings, how long do you expect us to last with those 10 inchers blasting away at us?
But the odds are with us, Tank. They can't see us in this fog. It isn't easy to draw a bead on a small boat like this with the kind of guns they're using. Even so, we're liable to stop one of those 10-inch shells. If we do...
Yeah, I know. If we do, it's curtains.
That's about it, Tank. So just in case, maybe we better say goodbye now.
Oh, look, Bud, I'm not saying goodbye. We've been flying together for a long time, and even if one of those shells does hit us, we'll still be flying together. Only it won't be a no P-40.
Okay, Tank, that suits me. Come on, get into the bow and man the machine gun.
Aye, aye, sir.
All set?
Yep. Say when.
Let her rip.
Hey, what was that?
I tossed one of those dynamite bombs. Don't stop firing, Tank.
Okay,
Go on.
but be sure you toss them over my head.
Don't worry, boy. Okay, Tank, that's enough for a while. Let's see if we're drawing their fire. Yeah, we're drawing it, all right.
You ain't kidding, brother. That one almost landed in my lap.
Give him some more of that machine gun, Tank.
Hey, boy. What's in everything they got at us now,
That's
Hawk?
what we want, Tank. Come on, keep firing.
Facing a withering German barrage, Hoff and Tank reply with everything at their command in a valiant effort to mislead the Nazi naval force. Meanwhile, aboard the English corvette, frantic wireless messages are going out to the nearest RAF field, requesting land-based planes to come to the assistance of the lifeboat and its heroic occupants. On the bridge, Lieutenant Woodley, commander of the corvette, is discussing the situation with his first mate, Ensign Stanton.
That Nazi shell fire sounds far astern, Stanton. I think we're safe now.
Yes, Lieutenant Woodley. Thanks to Harrigan and Tinker.
Right you are, Stanton. Those American chaps not only saved our lives, but what's more important, they've saved the cargo and the 5 freighters we're convoying. And heaven knows Russia needs those munitions badly.
Right, sir. But, Lieutenant, have those 2 chaps even half a chance of coming through this alive?
Frankly, Stanton, I don't know. Those Americans rather make a habit of accomplishing the impossible, you know. Yet I can't possibly see how they can overcome such terrific odds.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel, sir.
It's good to know that fellows like that are on our side, isn't it?
It is indeed.
I shall recommend citations for Harrigan and Tinker in my next report to the Admiralty.
They certainly deserve it, Lieutenant.
They do indeed. Now, Stanton, I'd feel safer if we had an aerial escort at least as far as the Shetland Islands. There's no telling when that German task force may loom up out of the fog again. Please call the chart room and get our exact location at once.
Very good, sir. Chart room? Stanton speaking. Give me our position and bearings.
My guess would be that we're somewhere off the Orkney Islands, within 70 miles of the Shetlands.
Yes? Yes, very good. Yes, you were just about right, sir. Our position actually is north latitude 59.4, east longitude 2.1. That would put us just 10 miles northeast of the Orkneys and 72 miles from the Shetlands.
Splendid. Now, Stanton, wireless the RAF air base in the Orkneys, give the Commandant my compliments, and request a bomber escort to the Shetlands. We must have them at once.
Aye, aye, sir.
Oh, one more thing. Request that a seaplane be sent to scout the last known location of Harrigan and Tinker. By some miracle, they may still be alive.
I beg pardon, Lieutenant Woodley, but I took the liberty of making that request a while ago. I trust I didn't overstep my authority, sir.
Not at all. Good work. Now, have Sparks send my message off to the RAF field at once.
Yes, sir, at once, sir.
Hey, Hop, I'm all out of machine gun ammunition. I just fired the last round.
Are you sure, Tank?
Positive.
And I thrown the last of the dynamite bomb.
Jumping Jennies, what do we do now? They're still tossing everything they've got at us.
We gotta try to beat it away from here. In a hurry, while there's fog glass.
Yeah, but how?
There's only one way. We gotta row. Quick, man the forward oars. I'll take these.
Aye, aye. Hey, we gotta scram fast. They're getting too close for comfort.
Stop talking, Tank. Get to work.
Okay, let's go. Right. Whoa. 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 This boat
Tank! Tank, where are you?
Here I am. Oh, this water's cold.
Oh, quick. Hang on to the boat.
Okay, I'm hanging on. How far to land, Hop?
Too far to swim. That's what's in your mind.
Then what do we do?
I'm afraid there's nothing much we can do, Tank. Except to hold on and hope.
Clinging to the overturned lifeboat in the icy waters of the North Sea, neither Hop nor Tank have much hope of rescue. The German task force is still firing through the thick blanket of fog, and although a British seaplane is on its way, will it reach the boys in time? What will happen? Don't fail to hear the next thrilling episode next week. Same time, same station. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. Fellas and girls, start now to prepare for a career in aviation, either as an Army or Navy flyer or in commercial aviation. Remember that the Air Forces need young flyers to help win this war, and that by taking the pre-flight aviation courses now available in high schools, you can save many valuable hours of training when you become old enough to join. This pre-flight training in high school will be valuable, too, even if you never get to fly one of Uncle Sam's swift pursuit ships or bombers, because it will fit you for finding a place in the rapidly expanding field of commercial aviation. Don't waste any time. Find out when you go to school tomorrow morning if aviation courses are available. If they have not yet been established in your school, talk with your principal about them and ask him to arrange to include them in the curriculum for your next semester. For any information pertaining to pre-flight education in high schools, write to the United States Office of Education in Washington, D.C. Remember, America needs flyers.
CX-4 to control tower. CX-4 to control tower. Standing by.
Control tower to CX-4. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan taking off. See you next week. Same time, same station.
Hop Harrigan is a copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Hop Harrigan has come to you from New York. This is the Blue Network.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend the steel in his bare hand, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellas and girls, every day the city, state, and national offices of civilian defense organizations are swamped with letters from young people like yourselves. And most of the letters ask, what can I do, what part can I take in the national war effort? The writers of these letters are all too young to join the United States Armed Forces, too young to join any of the numerous home defense groups, and yet they ask, isn't there something we can do? Some of you listening now are no doubt among those who have written those letters, and I'll bet many of you who have not written have thought the same thing. Well, the answer is a very simple one, and here it is. You can do your part in civilian defense. You can help win this war by buying war-saving stamps regularly. How does that help, you ask? How can my dime, or 20, or 40, or 50 cents help to win this war? That's easy, too. For instance, your dime, just 10 cents, will buy 5 .45 caliber bullets that can be used by our soldiers, sailors, or Marines to knock 5 Japs or 5 Nazis out of commission. And believe me, it's going to take a lot of those bullets to knock them all out and win the war. Another thing, 50 cents, which represents 5 10 or 2 25-cent war-saving stamps, will buy enough fuel oil to bring one of our destroyers a full mile closer to the Jap fleet in the Solomon Islands. And you know what happens when our Navy gets close enough to turn on the heat.
And here's one more thing for you to think over. If every fellow and girl in the United States bought at least 5 10-cent war-saving stamps every day, the amount of money they would lend to the government would buy enough fighter planes and bombers to blast Hitler's Luftwaffe right out of the air. So remember that each and every dime is important, that buying war-saving stamps is a very important way to help win this war. So keep in mind this slogan. Repeat it often to your family and friends. Every time you've got a dime, buy a war-saving stamp.
And now, the adventures of Superman. When Editor Perry White received an urgent letter from his French-Canadian friend, Sebastien Beauvais, requesting that he come to Beauvais' hunting lodge in northern Canada at once, White, together with Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and young Jimmy Olsen, made immediate arrangements to leave. And then suddenly, strange things began to happen, all obviously to prevent Perry White from making the trip. In our last episode, we learned how Kent, as Superman, met a curiously sinister character known only as the Laugher. Boldly, the Laugher admitted to Superman that he intended to prevent Perry White and his party from reaching Sebastien Beauvais' hunting lodge at any cost. As we continue our story today, we find ourselves in the rich, overly furnished penthouse apartment of the Laugher. There's the Laugher himself, sitting in that huge easy chair. As you can see, he's a tremendous man, a mountain of flesh with 3 chins and a ponderous stomach. His fat, stubby fingers are covered with glittering diamonds, and he sits like some great bloated frog, his tiny eyes half closed, apparently deep in thought. Now his eyes open slowly, and he stares at a man who is fast asleep on a nearby couch. Something strikes him as funny, and he laughs softly.
Sleepy, wake up. Wake up, I say. Wake up, Sleepy. Open those droopy eyes of yours.
Okay, Laugher, if you say so. Well, what's up?
I've been sitting here, Sleepy, indulging in deep thought.
Yeah?
Would you be even faintly interested in what I was thinking about, Sleepy?
Well, I'd much rather catch some more shut-eye, Laugher. But if you want to talk, go right ahead. I'll listen, but I won't understand half of what you say. I hardly ever do.
Don't you ever do anything but sleep, Sleepy?
Don't you ever do anything but think?
No.
Same here. That's why they call me Sleepy. Go ahead and talk. I'm listening.
I've been thinking about this rather fantastic person known as Superman. He was here an hour ago, just before you arrived. He amused me terribly. And yet, Sleepy, there was something about him that I cannot take lightly. I'm afraid you're not listening, Sleepy.
Oh, I am. Go right ahead. You don't take this King Superman lightly.
That's right. Sleepy, for the very first time in my entire career, I feel that I have met my match.
Nuts.
No, really. For the first time as far back as I can remember, I shall have to exercise every faculty, every talent that I possess. And that concerns me a little, Sleepy. For truth to tell, I've not really used my talents in a long, long time.
I repeat, nuts.
Oh, I know. You have a wonderful opinion of me, Sleepy. And so you should. Truly, I am a remarkable person. Probably the greatest mastermind that ever lived.
Absolutely, the tops.
But my brain, that magnificent organ which I so fortunately possess, has suffered a little from disuse. And so I worry somewhat now that I have challenged Superman to a duel, to a fight to the finish.
He's all muscle, ain't he?
If what I have heard of this Superman is true, he is not only the possessor of singular muscular strength, but his mind is equally well developed.
It can't be as good as yours.
You flatter me, Sleepy. However, I agree with you completely. There has never been, and there never will be again, such a brain as mine. But to get to the point of what I was thinking.
Yeah, let's do that there.
Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet, Miss Lois Lane, a very efficient young woman who works as a reporter on the paper, and Clark Kent, another reporter, are taking the plane to Ottawa tonight. They are going, so they think, into the Hudson Bay region to visit the hunting lodge of one Sebastian Beauvais.
Hey, they can't do that. I thought we didn't want nobody near that place.
We don't, Sleepy. We don't. Therefore, it becomes imperative that we stop these people before they get there. In the course of my cerebral activity...
Your what?
Cerebral activity.
Oh.
Thinking, do you? In the course of my thinking, Sleepy, I made up my mind that it would be far easier to stop White and Miss Lane and Mr. Kent here in Metropolis before they even board that plane to Ottawa.
Oh, you don't want them to get even as far as the plane. That it?
That's it, precisely.
Okay. Tell me where they are, and I'll give them the works. I'll mow them down.
Ah, no, Sleepy. No, indeed. It's hardly as simple a job as that. And I am finding it difficult to devise a plan.
Oh, your brain's rusty because you ain't used it, that's all.
Precisely. I can almost hear the wheels creaking slowly, trying desperately to move. But the oil of activity, Sleepy, the very act of forcing myself really to think soon begins to work. And the wheels of my brain begin to turn more swiftly.
Yeah, I can almost see them.
Superman, I say to myself, now that he knows I will attack his friends, will be near them every moment. They will never be out of his sight. He'll be watching, eternally vigilant, anticipating my every move, and wholly prepared to block me at every turn.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yes, but not without solution. Not at any rate to a brain like mine. What do I decide to do?
I don't know. What?
I decide that Superman cannot stop what he does not know about. And at once, a complete plan unfolds itself before me.
Nice going, Laugher. I knew you'd come through.
Thank you. I think I'd better tell you my plan since you are to carry it out within the next 2 hours.
Oh, I was sort of figuring on hitting the hay early tonight.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I'll sleep late tomorrow. What's the plan?
To get to the airport from which the Ottawa plane will leave, White and Miss Lane and Kent will undoubtedly take a taxi.
Yeah.
You, Sleepy, will be the driver of that taxi.
Yeah, go on.
They will get into the taxi and you will start for the airport. Somewhere along the route, however, you will pull up to a corner where there's a cigar store. You will say you want to get a package of cigarettes.
What do I want with cigarettes? I don't smoke. They make me nervous. Why, I start losing...
You're only pretending you want cigarettes.
Oh, well, what happens then?
You will have a tiny box I shall give you. You will keep the box beside you on the driver's seat. And as you get out of the cab, you will press the button on the outside of that tiny box. Is that clear?
Oh, well, what's in the box?
Explosive. Enough explosive to blow that cab and everyone in it to kingdom come and back again.
Hey, that's a wonderful idea.
Isn't it? There's only one thing that bothers me, Sleepy. I wish I had more time so that the bomb could be concealed. Well, I haven't, so we must do the best we can. I tell you, you will place your overcoat over the box on the seat beside you. There will be absolutely no chance of its being discovered.
Okay, when do I start?
I shall telephone several people and make the necessary arrangements. A word of caution, Sleepy.
Oh, yeah?
Once you've pressed the button on that box of explosive, get out of the cab and leave it quickly. You will not have much time. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
Good. As a matter of fact, excellent. Excellent indeed.
No, we're just not making any time at all. This traffic is terrible.
Take it easy, Mr. White.
Sure, Chief. The driver's doing the best he can. And at this rate, we'll never reach the airport in time to catch that Ottawa plane. Driver, can't you get out of this traffic?
Oh, I don't know, mister. I don't know.
Well, why don't you go down State Street? You can turn into it at the next light.
Oh, okay. Anything you say.
Say one thing. I've never seen such a sleepy cab driver in my life.
Oh, has he heard you?
Yeah, I heard it. Sure, I'm sleepy. My kid's got a bad cold. Kept me up all night.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'll sleep late tomorrow.
When does the plane reach Ottawa, Chief? 7 in the morning. We leave Ottawa at 10 by private plane and arrive at Lake Minto tomorrow night. From there, it's another day, packing into the wilderness by horse.
Dear me, I'm beginning to feel like the great outdoor girl already.
Kent, anything wrong? Wrong? No, Chief. What do you mean? You seem nervous and fidgety. You keep looking out the window every time we stop for a light, and, well, you just don't seem yourself.
Yes, Clark, what's the matter with you? I just noticed now as we stopped for this light, you unconsciously peered out both windows as if you were looking for someone.
Oh, no, not at all. What was that?
What, that laugh?
Yes.
A man passing by in the street laughed, that's all. What's so unusual about that?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all.
I wish we could make better time. It's getting late.
Oh, stop worrying, Mr. White. We'll make it all right.
Well, I hope. What's he pulling up to the curb for?
I don't know. Driver, what are you stopping for?
If you don't mind, Mac, I want to get some cigarettes.
Now, look here, Cappy. We're in a hurry. We've got to reach the airport in 15 minutes.
No, make it. Don't worry. I got to have some smoke.
Hey, you just stay where you are and get this cab started again.
It won't take me long, Bud. I'll be back in no time.
Wait a minute. Come back here, you. Well, of all the colossal
Now,
nerve.
take it easy, Chief. He won't be but a second.
No, that's not the point. While he's in my employ, he'll do what I tell him or else. Now, come on, both of you. We'll get out and get another cab.
Oh, Mr. White.
No buts, no buts. We'll get out and get another cab, and that's
Cabs
what.
are scarce these days, Chief. We waste more time than we'll gain getting our luggage out and waiting for another taxi to come along. We better stay right here.
I suppose you're right, but I'll give that hoodlum a piece of my mind when he gets back.
All right. In the meantime, relax.
Relax. How can I relax when we may miss that plane by seconds?
No, we won't miss it. We'll reach the airport on time, so just do as Lois says and relax. There's nothing to worry about, Chief. Absolutely nothing at all.
Nothing to worry about. A box of high explosive lies beside the driver's seat, hidden under a coat. At any moment, it will explode. Be sure to hear Monday's thrill-packed episode and listen every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman.
Well, there goes Superman until Monday. Meanwhile, don't let the weekend go by without buying your share of war-saving stamps. And remember what I told you at the beginning of this program, you fellows and girls who are too young to join the armed forces or any of the national defense organizations. You can do your part. You can help win this war by buying war-saving stamps regularly. So let's make a pledge right now to buy war-saving stamps. Talk it over tonight with Mother and Dad. Ask them to give you a dime every day or even every other day for war-saving stamps. And then buy some extra ones out of your regular weekly allowance. And see if you can get your friends to buy stamps regularly, too. Or why not organize a war savings club right on your block in your neighborhood? Make this your club slogan. Every time you've got a dime, buy a war savings stamp.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky!
It's a bird! It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
This is Mutual.
Fiery horse with the speed of light, the cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo, Silver, the Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, The masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. The stories of his strength and courage, his daring and resourcefulness have come down to us through the generations. And nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver! There's danger from outlaws! Hail, Silver!
Night hugged the rich green valley below as the Dobie stage topped the grueling rise from Sutter's Gulch and lumbered heavily down the slope toward the welcoming lights of the town. Suddenly, masked riders swarmed from behind ghost-like boulders and surrounded the coach.
All right, boys, get him! Whoa, pull him there! Whoa, boy! Whoa, easy, whoa, boy!
Keep your hands put in your sides, driver. Get the goal, boys!
I can't see who you are behind that mask, mister, but I'll bet you're the Hutch Larson gang.
Keep your lips buttoned to it, driver. You'll be tasting lead. All right, boys! Get up there! Get up there!
The Dobie City Bank was a small but formidable-looking building which boasted the motto, honest, reliable, safe. Then one Saturday night, town folk heard an explosion.
What's that? Sounded like blasting powder.
It's the bank, look!
Outlaws! They must have blasted the bank vaults.
Yeah, they're all masked.
Can't pin it. That hold-up's got all the earmarks of Hutch Larson and his gang.
Thick shadows settled over the valley, cast by a cloudy night sky. It was the kind of night when rustlers were known to strike, and the cowhands guarding the herd of longhorns were watchful. Suddenly, one heard the call of a hoot owl.
Did you hear that, Hank?
Yeah. I don't like it.
Me either. That's a phony owl if I ever heard one. Listen.
Rustlers! They're stampeding the deer. Come on! They're coming this way. They'll trample us. They got the hightail it. That's the Larson gang, for I'm a wall-eyed maverick.
Outside the town jail, an angry crowd gathered. The object of their anger was old Sheriff Carter.
Now, boys, listen to me.
We've been listening to you, Sheriff, but we ain't heard you say nothing yet.
That's right. Yeah, what about it, Sheriff? Are you aiming to catch the Larson gang or not?
Catching them's easy, Sam. Keeping them is the problem.
What do you mean?
Just what I said. We've got 2 of the gang locked up in jail now on charge of disturbing the peace.
Disturbing the peace? What's the matter with hanging that stage up, hold up, the bank robbery, cattle rushing, and all the rest of the gang's dirty activities on them?
That's right. Oh, wait a minute. Because we've got witnesses to testify they was disturbing the peace, but nobody's ever been able to step forward and prove the gang was responsible for the big things.
Everybody knows Hutch Larson and his gang are crooks. You mean to stand there and say we can't convict them without proof?
That's the law, Dan, and I mean to stick by it.
Well, we don't, Sheriff. If you want to spare this county a mass lynching, you'd better get that proof mighty pronto.
Detaching himself from the rear of the crowd, a young man hurried toward the office of the United States Marshal. He wore Eastern-cut clothes and carried a valise.
Morning, Marshal Carey.
Good morning. Jim Carter. Glory be, I'm glad to see you. Here, let me look at you, son. Juniper, will you look at them fancy Eastern ducks?
I'll be glad to get out of them, into my old work clothes again.
Well, I'll say one thing for you, Jim. Going to one of them there Eastern schools ain't taking the West out of your voice none. Yep. You'll sure be a sight for your pa's old eyes. You seen the old codger yet?
No, I just got off the stage. That's what I wanted to talk to you about, Marshal. He seems to be on a spot.
Oh, you mean that crowd out there?
Yeah. What'll happen if Dad can't produce a proof to convict the Hutch Larson gang?
Jim, I'll give it to you straight from the shoulder. If your dad don't clap them polecats behind bars soon with the evidence to keep 'em there, there'll be a new sheriff in Dobie.
It'll break Dad's heart if he loses that star, Marshal.
I reckon it will, Jim. Your dad's been sheriff in this town for as long as I can remember. And a mighty good one, too.
Thanks, Marshal. Marshal, something's been buzzing in my head. A kind of plan, I mean. It might help Dad.
What is it, Jim?
Well, I was listening outside, and I heard Dad say he'd locked up 2 of the Larson gang.
Yeah?
I figured if I could get myself jailed with them, posing as an outlaw like themselves, it might lead to my becoming a member of the gang. Then I could furnish Dad with all the proof he needs.
I don't know, Jim. Maybe some of the gang would recognize you as the sheriff's son.
But I understand the Larson outfit's new to these parts, and I've been away for 4 years.
Say, that's right.
The only thing is, Dad'll recognize me when I land in jail.
Oh, no, he won't, Jim. Your dad's leaving tomorrow for the other side of the county to investigate some more of Hutch Larson's doings. And the deputies are men who've come to town since you left.
Great. Well, here's my plan, Marshal. Remember, you'll be the only man alive that'll know I'm turning outlaw to help the law.
Right, Jim. And as long as I'm alive, you can depend on me to prove your innocence whenever you get the goods on Hutch Larson and his gang.
Meanwhile, in their camp not far from town, the Lone Ranger was removing his mask and his outer clothing, while Tonto prepared a secret formula of herbs. As his Indian friend applied the strange mixture of wild berries and herbs to his face, the Lone Ranger quickly donned the leather chaps and 6 guns of a cowpuncher. A moment later, the disguise was complete.
You different man now.
Well, I'll have to be, Tonto, if I'm going to fool the Larson gang.
Them not know you like this. You fool 'em plenty.
Good. Now, Kimosabe, you know my plan?
Huh?
The only way we can catch Larson and his outlaws in the act.
That's right.
Hutch Larson's looking for men. By winning the confidence of the 2 outlaws in the Dobie jail, I can arrange to be one of them. Here, Silver.
You take hold up now?
Yes, Kimosabe. Easy, big fella. The only way to convince the outlaws in jail that I'm one of their own stripe. You'll hear from me, Tonto. Come on, Silver.
Inside the express office, 2 men in shirt sleeves stood with their arms raised against the wall. A third was hastily taking the cash from the safe and storing it in a leather bag. All were unaware that the tall cowpuncher in leather chaps who held his 6 guns so casually was really the Lone Ranger, or that he was faking the holdup as part of a careful plan.
Faster there. Haven't got all day.
Yes, sir.
You over there. Do you think you'd remember me if you saw me again?
Yes, sir. I mean, no, sir. Oh, that is, What's that?
I don't know.
Take up your hands. This is a holdup.
You're a little late. This is my party.
What? You mean...
Seems we both came here for the same thing, the company's cash. But I arrived first.
But...
Kid Carter, man.
Marshal.
He ran into the express office. Watch him, he's a killer.
Let's rush him, Marshal.
All right, man.
Kid Carter, huh? Looks like the law's got you cornered, kid.
They'll never take me.
Look out, boys. The kid's a shooting fool.
Ammunition can't last forever, Marshal.
Drop that gun, kid.
What?
I got you covered.
But the law's chasing you, too. What?
Not for murder. I'm not a killer, and I don't plan for them to pin any of your wild shooting on me.
He stopped shooting.
He must have run out of bullets, Marshal.
All right, boys, let's rush him. But hold your fire. We want to take Kid Carter alive. You're under arrest, kid.
Hey, 2 of them.
Marshal, that tall one was robbing the safe. He held a gun on us.
That's right, Marshal. He might have killed us if you hadn't come.
I'm not a killer, Marshal. That's why I stopped the kid from shooting.
So you're responsible for that, huh? Well, don't count on it to get you out of this holdup, mister. You're going to jail, same as the kid here.
Thanks, Marshal.
Oh, the nervy type, huh?
I'll take charge of him, Marshal.
Yeah, you take him, I'll take care of the kid here. There's a few things I got to say to him.
Kid Carter, eh? Imagine a killer having the same name as the sheriff.
Well, he won't have it long. We're fixing a noose for this one.
Well, it's too bad we ain't got as much on Hutch Larson and his gangs we got in the kid. They wouldn't have a chance to worm out of jail.
You won't keep me in a hooscow either. There ain't a jailmaid that can hold me.
Jim Carter's boast reached the ears of the 2 outlaws with whom he was jailed, and they taunted him about it.
So there ain't a jailmaid that'll hold you, eh, kid?
That's what I said.
Yeah, loud mouth for such a young squirt, ain't he, Limpy?
Who you calling a young squirt?
Who but you, sonny boy?
You asked for it. Next time you got anything to say to me, don't shove your ugly mug into my face to say it.
Why,
Better
you...
not say it, Jake. The kid's given you enough of a beating for one day.
Who asked you to butt in?
Stranger's right, Jake. Besides, if the kid's as handy with a gun as he is with his fists, maybe the boss can use him, too.
What do you mean?
Don't take my head off, kid. It's just a business proposition. Jake and I sounded out the stranger last night. He's agreed to join up with us. I thought maybe you'd be interested, too.
Join up with who?
Hutch Larson.
Never heard of him.
Never heard. Say, where you been keeping yourself?
These parts are small pickings to me. If your gang works around here, they must be pretty small time.
Small time? Why, you...
Save it, Jake. Kid, you've been talking big. Maybe you are. There's one thing you get when you travel with a gang that you don't get traveling alone. That's protection.
What do you mean?
Well, if Jake and me or the stranger here was in the hoosgow tempting a noose, same as you are, the boys would get us out.
If you got such smart friends, what are you doing here?
We're only in the hoosgow for a few days. They nailed us for shooting up a cafe.
Yeah. But you're still here. I put a rope around your neck, kid.
That's what you think. I'm getting out of here tonight.
How?
None of your business.
Listen, kid. There's something I ain't told you. The stranger here is going to take the gang where we can get our hands on a fortune in gold when we get out.
What of it?
Take us with you. When you make your break, we'll cut you in for a share as a member of the gang.
I don't know.
Tell them about it, stranger.
Take us with you so we can join the gang, kid, and I'll lead you to all the gold you can carry.
How about it, kid?
Well,
Here's something else you'll like, kid. You remember Marshal Carey who jailed you?
Yeah?
The boss is going gunning for him.
Gunning?
Yeah. The boss figures the marshal is getting a mite too nosy.
When's he planning to do it?
First chance he gets.
You don't act very pleased about the news, kid.
Say, he don't for a fact, does he?
Well, ain't that. I mean, I was planning to kill that tongue-wagging marshal myself.
Well, maybe the boss would be willing to step aside for you, seeing as you got a personal grudge.
Yeah, maybe he would.
Well, we'll never know while we're in here.
We won't be in here after tonight. I'm cutting through them bars with this saw.
Saw? Where'd you get that?
Never mind. Just be ready to ride when you're free of this shack.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. It was dusk when the four men cut their way through the bars of their cell window and escaped from the jail.
When we get clear of the town, scatter. Where'll we meet later? Hit the creek in Sutter's Gulch.
Well, I found Marshal Carey. I don't want your boss to shoot him before I get a chance.
You'll have to hunt him down, kid, same as the boss.
Oh, we were almost clear of the town.
Hey, ain't them the outlaws that was locked up in jail?
Yeah, they must have broke out.
They've seen us.
Yeah, don't forget you two. Meet us at the hideout in a couple hours. Come on, Spidey.
As the two outlaws hurried to the hideout and Jim Carter rode to find Marshal Carey, The Lone Ranger urged his great white stallion forward to the camp where he had arranged to meet Tonto.
Oh, Silver, boy, It's good to see you again, Tonto.
And good you here. What you find out?
Plenty. I'm meeting the gang at their hideout tonight. I told two of the outlaws about the gold, and they fell for it almost without a question.
And what we do now?
I met a young fellow in jail who's being taken in the gang with me. He goes by the name of Kid Carter, a notorious killer.
Carter? That name is Sheriff, too.
That's what I'm thinking, Tonto. Sheriff Carter had a son. He went away to college in the East 4 years ago.
Maybe this Kid Carter, Sheriff's son.
Perhaps, Kimosabe. It would be an awful blow to the old man if he knew his son was a murderer, and yet
What you think?
There's something strange about the kid, Tonto. He acts conceited, as most killers are. But there are times when he seems to be playing a part.
Oh.
What's more, when I saw him shooting at the marshal and his men, I could have sworn he was shooting into the dirt.
Oh, that plenty strange.
Tonto, ride to the jail. The sheriff was expected back about this time. Find out what his son is like.
Then we know truth, huh?
Right, Kimosabe. Then get him to round up a posse and ride to the creek at Sutter's Gulch. The gang will be waiting for him.
Tonto Sabe.
Until later, then. Adios. Come on, Silver.
Get him up, scout.
Faster, big fella.
Bounding up the slope toward Sutter's Gulch, the great white stallion laid back his ears and settled into his powerful stride. Suddenly, the air was rent by a shot.
Ho, Silver, ho! Came from that direction, big fella. We'd better investigate.
Resuming his stride, Silver raced around a bend in the trail, then pulled up short. Face down on the trail lay a man.
Steady, boy, steady. Easy. Let's have a look at this fella. Still alive. Marshal Carey. That's Larson got to him sooner than I expected.
Paper. Pocket. You tell Sheriff. Innocent.
He's fainted. Well, let's see. He mentioned a paper. Here. Yes. This throws a new light on Kid Carter. Here, Silver. Got to get this man to Doc Burns. Steady, boy. Stand still. Easy. There. We'll have to carry two for a few miles, big fella. Steady. Easy now. Come on, big fella.
The Lone Ranger left the marshal with a doctor a few miles down the road, then hurried to keep his rendezvous with the gang. Meanwhile, Tonto had found Sheriff Carter.
Hey, what do you mean busting into my office like this, Redskin?
You come. Catch Larson gang.
Catch the Larson gang. That's a laugh. Two of them just escaped right out of this jail, together with a killer and a hold-up man. And you're telling me I can catch the whole gang?
Then wait at hideout. Creek and Sutter's Gulch.
Hey, who are you anyway, Redskin?
Me Tonto.
Tonto. Name seems familiar.
Me friend, the Lone Ranger.
What? The Lone Ranger?
Him make believe him hold up man. Spend time in jail with outlaw.
What in thunder? You mean...
Him learn him hideout from outlaw.
Talk some more.
You come, you catch gang.
Catching a gang ain't enough. We've got to capture him in the act of doing something.
You catch him, steal gold, and surround him, and then retreat to hideout.
Steal gold?
You get posse. Make ready quick.
It's worth trying anyway.
You catch Kid Carter with gang, too.
Kid Carter? I wonder...
Maybe him your relative.
Of course he ain't. My son went east to college 4 years ago. Couldn't be the same man.
Maybe him come back, become outlaw.
Oh, Jim wouldn't.
You know plenty soon. You find Kid Carter with gang.
If my son's a crook, I'll give him the same treatment I'll give the others. Come on.
After the gang had assembled at the hideout, Hutch Larson rode forth to meet them. He glanced briefly at the Lone Ranger, still skillfully disguised as a cowpuncher. And then his small, cruel eyes came to rest on Jim Carter.
You, come here.
Me?
That's right. Understand your handle's Kid Carter.
Yeah.
You're a regular killer, ain't you, kid?
What do you mean?
Jake and Limpy tell me you wanted a gun for Marshal Carey yourself.
Yeah, Do you know where he is?
Well, if he's where I left him, he's flat on his face on a dusty trail.
You mean he's dead?
As dead as you're gonna be, Carter.
I don't understand.
Now, you don't think I'm as dumb as those two galoots you met in jail, do you?
But
First you appear with a name just like the sheriff's. Then you pull a saw out of the thin air and cut through the bars. Maybe them two have a connection. Huh, kid?
What do you mean?
Kid, I just follow my hunches. And I got a hunch it's safer to get rid of you as soon as we return from this gold haul.
You mean that Jake? Limpy?
Coming, boss. Right with you, Hutch.
Now, you two hombres already made one mistake with a kid. And I'm advising you not to make another. Take him into the cave and watch him till I get back.
You can trust us, boss.
Come on. Get down off that horse. Now get moving, you double-crossing polecat. A killer, eh? Take that.
Don't take too much out of the kid, Jake. I want something to work on when I get back.
Sure, boss. Come on. Get along to the cave. Come on there. Go on. Get along there.
All right, stranger. Come on up here.
Well, are you ready for me to show you where the gold is, Larson?
Yeah. Say, that's a mighty handsome piece of horseflesh you got there.
I think so.
When this job's over, we'll be making a trade.
No, I'm sorry, Larson. As long as I've got anything to say about it, you'll be my horse.
Yeah. Where's this gold you're taking us to?
It's cached at the gold mines. It's not far from here.
Jake and Limpy told me they picked you up in jail the same time as a kid.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know nothing about you, stranger. I ain't got the time to ask questions. But just get one thing straight. If you try to cross me, I'll riddle you with hot lead. Now lead on.
Come on, Silver.
Following the Lone Ranger's lead, the gang guided their horses down the rocky trail toward the gold mines. Soon they were in sight of their destination and rode forward to where the gold was cached.
All right, boys, bring up them pack horses and load up.
Yeah, looks like you had the wrong slant on you, stranger. Oh, this gold's enough to make my mouth water. But I can't understand why they don't keep a couple of guards around.
Those bullets was aimed over your head, Larson. Next ones will be on the line with your heart. Unless you throw down your guns.
You're surrounded, Larson. Surrender or we'll riddle you.
Oh, you dirty double-crosser.
Keep your guns in leather, Larson.
Oh, my arm!
Tell your men to throw down their guns, Larson. Or the posse will wipe them out.
Tell them yourself. I'm getting out of here.
Up in Silver.
Back along the rocky trail from the mines to the gang's hideout raced the white stallion in pursuit of the black horse and his rider ahead. Before long, the hideout was sighted, and Hutch Larson rode up to the cave to revenge himself on Jim Carter for his share in the gang's betrayal. But as his gun lifted to fire, a lariat snaked through the air from the Lone Ranger's hand and jerked Larson from the saddle.
Whoa, Silver, whoa!
Let me go! Let me go!
You stay just as you are, Larson, till the sheriff's ready for you.
Oh, well, Larson, so we caught you at last.
You can't hold me, Sheriff. You got no proof.
This time you're wrong, Hutch. Attempting that gold robbery fixed you and your gang for a long stay behind bars. Dad. What? Why, Jim.
Kid Carter. That's who he is, Sheriff.
Kid Carter. Then you really are in with these outlaws, Jim. Dad, listen.
Sure he's in with the sheriff. He's the one who broke the boys out of jail.
Is that right, Jim? Yeah, Dad, but...
You can't jail us unless you jail your own son, Sheriff.
Dad, you gotta believe me. Marshal Carey and I fixed it up for me to pose as an outlaw to trap the gang.
Oh, that's a likely story, Sheriff. If Marshal Carey was in on the plan, why ain't he here to prove the kid's innocent?
Because he's dead.
Of course he's dead. And who killed him? You did.
Jim, I can't believe it. Dad, Larson's lying. You can't believe what he says is true.
Try and prove it ain't the truth.
The proof is right here, Sheriff.
What?
Marshal Carey was afraid something might happen to him while Jim was in jail. Realizing he was the only one who shared Jim's secret, he made out this paper testifying to Jim's innocence. It bears the marshal's signature.
No, it's a forgery, Sheriff. You can't take that hombre's word.
He was one of them who escaped the jail.
Is that true?
Yes, Sheriff, but you don't have to take my word. Marshal Carey will support the truth of what I say himself. He's in the care of a doctor not far from here.
You mean he ain't dead?
No, Larson, he's alive. And when he's well enough, he'll testify against you.
Well, Jim, forgive me.
There ain't nothing to forgive, Dad. You were just doing your duty like you always did.
If it hadn't been for this stranger here, I'd have made an awful mistake. Stranger, Why, stop him, Jim.
Can't, Dad. He's too far away.
Doggone it. It ain't every day I get a chance to thank the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger?
That's right, Jim. Just look at that fella go.
The story you have just heard is a copyrighted feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated.
It's 8:30. It's 8:30 New York time. Time to wake up America and stump the experts. Each week at this time, Lucky Strike offers you a profitable chance to confound 4 authorities at once. You provide the questions and our experts try to answer them. Remember, for every question used, Lucky Strike will give you not only $10 in war stamps, but a set of the 12-volume Britannica Junior Encyclopedia. If the question is muffed, you get the Junior Britannica plus a $50 war bond plus a 24-volume set of the regular Encyclopedia Britannica. Send your questions to Information Please, 480 Lexington Avenue, New York City. If our editorial staff edits your questions a bit, don't fret over it. In case of similarity, we'll have to be sole judge of who shall be paid. And all questions become the property of Information Please. And now light up a Lucky Strike as I present our Master of Ceremonies, book reviewer of the New Yorker magazine, Clifton Fadiman. Mr. Fadiman.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Ladies and gentlemen, Information Please refuses to deviate from its policy of spontaneity. The strictly spontaneous experts tonight, consisting of John Kieran and Franklin P. Adams as our regulars, reinforced by our old friend Christopher Morley, whose new novel, Thoroughfare, will be out in a couple of weeks, and the Pulitzer Prize poet and biographer Carl Sandburg, whose new Civil War book, Storm Over the Land, is now available. And by the way, Mr. Adams's book, Innocent Merriment, is also available in the bookstores. And Mr. Kieran, what about you?
You'll have to wait a little while.
But you have a book on the presses?
On the fire.
Gosh, literacy is a terrible thing. Now, Mr. Sandberg, remembering last time, we expect some pretty good answers from you this evening. Are we going to get them?
Well, I'm plenty humble. On the way here, I was thinking about Lincoln one time being asked by a man a stuffed shirt educator, who thought a man ought to have a certain government position, and he said to Lincoln, "No one has ever plunged deeper into the fount of learning." And Lincoln said, "Or come up drier."
Well, we'll see whether you come up dry or wet this evening, Mr. Sandberg. We'll start out with a question from George Martin Lyons of New York City. Who are the sons of these parents? I'm going to give you 3 different pairs of parents, and we have to name the sons of them. I'll just give you their first name. The first pair, Augustine or Augustine, take your pick, and Mary. Mr. Adams.
George Washington.
Very good. Did the rest of you have any idea if that was the case? Why, Mr. Sandberg, Mr. Morley, Mr. Kieran, and Mr. Adams. Very good. Now
Fresh from Minnesota and answering that.
Now the next pair, Thomas and Nancy. Thomas and Nancy. Mr. Sandberg?
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. Not a chance of missing out on that one. Nancy Hanks, of course. And the third, James and Sarah. Mr. Kieran?
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Franklin D. Roosevelt's mother, Sarah Delano. Very good. That gives us 3 out of 3. Now, how about this one from Mrs. Nina E. Brown of Spokane, Washington? Now, we're going to hear some songs played, 3 of them. What attitude toward marriage is expressed in each of these songs? But, gentlemen, the test is not merely to give us the attitude, but to sing the lines which express the attitude toward marriage. Are you ready? Would you want to clear your throat, Mr. Morley? All right, let's have the first. Now, I'll give you gentlemen Mr. Sandberg. But remember...
I wish I was single again.
Yes. And how about singing it for us? That's right.
I wouldn't know more than 1 or 2 lines.
That's all I want to hear. And our pianist will accompany.
I wish I was single again. I wish I was single again. But I don't know why, Mr.
Thank you. That's the right attitude. That's right, Mr. Sandberg. And now the second. Of you gentlemen, Mr. Sandberg?
I know it, and I've forgotten it.
Oh, have you really? Any idea at all? Couldn't give you a hint, could I? If I had said it began, hello, girls, would it come back to you at all?
Shoot.
All right, go ahead.
Hello, girls, listen to my voice. Don't you never marry no good-for-nothing boy. If you do, your doom shall be okay, comedy, sassafras tea.
Don't the rest of you gentlemen know anything about marriage at all? Now, the third and last test. Ah, a newcomer, Mr. Adams.
I can't sing that, but Anna Held could.
That does us a lot of good now.
It's delightful to be married.
Why, you can do that beautifully.
I can just say it.
Mr. Sandberg, do you remember it? I bet you and Mr. Adams get together.
No, all I know is it's out of the time when all over the country there were signs up with playing cards showing the hand that John drew and the hand that Anna held.
Very good. That gag is good enough to enable me to excuse you from singing. But I think let's try that one. It's delightful to be married. How does it go now, Mr. Sandberg?
I don't know.
Have any idea? All right, if you think I'm going to sing it for you, you're mistaken. That's the sort of thing that makes for a good audience. You tell them that, they like it. How about this one from Mrs. Fanny G. Sida of New York City? This, by the way, must have been sent in honor of Mr. Morley, who hides an extremely handsome face behind a curious thicket that he calls a beard. Quote 3 lines of poetry or prose that mention the word beard or bearded. 3 lines that, Mr. Morley, in deference, I'll give you the first crack.
Full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard.
That's a good one. From what?
Oh, probably Othello.
Othello is right. Mr. Kieran?
Bearded like a pard. That's from As You Like It. Excuse me.
Is it really?
No. You were thinking
Seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. How about that?
But where's the beard?
Yes, get your beard in, Mr. Kieran. Get your beard in.
Full of strange oaths, bearded like a pard, seeking a bubble reputation in the cannon's mouth. That's the description of in the 7 ages of man when the soldier part. that all right?
Mr. Morley, would you like to leave with me? We better get out of this while the going is good. Mr. Kieran?
Something about the murmuring pines and the hemlocks, bearded with moss, like druids of elves, indistinct in the twilight, etc.
Now, this time I know that's from Longfellow, Mr. Kieran. Don't tell me I'm wrong now.
No, that's right.
All right, now we have two beards. Let's get another one. Mr. Adams.
Bearding the lion in his den.
Yes? Or beard ever so humble, there's no place like home. Well, that gives us three.
Never thought of that.
There's it, Mr. Kieran.
Mr. Adams knows another one about the man who said it is
There was
just
a
as I
young man,
feared.
old man with a beard.
Edward Lear.
Yes, what
He
happened
said
to
it
the
is
old
just as I feared.
Yeah?
Come on, Morley.
2 larks and a hen, 3 owls and a wren.
Have just built their nests in my beard.
That's right. That's enough beards. Now, about this one from George Sussfeld of Brooklyn, New York. This is the Lincoln question. Where was Lincoln under the following circumstances? Where was Lincoln on the day he was first supposed to marry Mary Todd? What was he doing on that day? The day he was first supposed to marry Mary Todd. These are pretty tough ones. Mr. Sandberg?
He was at the home of a friend at whose house he boarded in Springfield, Illinois.
You must have information about Lincoln that I don't have, which is quite possible, inasmuch as you're his practically official biographer. My answer, Mr. Sandberg, is that he answered the roll call in the legislature that day and then wandered about in a sort of dismal and melancholy manner for the rest of the day. Am I wrong about that?
Well, no, I wouldn't be sure my memory is correct on this.
Well, the only thing I have over you is an ability to read from this card, Mr. Sandberg. Now, how about this one? Where was Lincoln on the day that Richmond fell? On the day that Richmond fell, where was Lincoln? That's an important date. Any ideas on that, Mr. Sandberg?
He was up the James River aboard a ship.
Right outside the city, is that right?
Yes.
With the army at that time, I suppose. That's correct.
Army.
And on the day in 1860, when his supporters were putting through his nomination in Chicago, where was Lincoln? Mr. Sandberg?
He was in Springfield, Illinois.
What was he doing there?
Well, there are various accounts.
Well, I'll give you about 10 minutes, Mr. Sandberg.
One account has it that he was in his office. Another one has it that another less reliable one has it that he was in a saloon holding a glass of beer.
Not drinking.
That is less authentic.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Kieran?
Still another account is he was playing baseball.
Yes, that's the one that many of us remember.
That's the one that I'm sure is mistaken.
But tell that to Mr. Kieran. Don't tell that to me.
Though, of course, it is true that a man in nearly high command at Fort Sumter a short time later was the father of baseball, Major Abner Doubleday.
How did that happen?
He was a regular army man.
Oh, that's the connection.
And he was associated with Colonel Anderson.
A little far-fetched. How about this one? That gives us at least 2 out of 3. It may have given us 3 out of 3, Mr. Sandberg, if your answer about the Mary Todd question is correct, which is quite possible. And how about this one? This comes from Mr. W.L. Quarles of Nashville. Why did these characters of fiction not marry? Why did they not marry? The first set of characters, Ham and Little Emily. Why didn't they marry? You have to know who Ham and Little Emily are, of course. Mr. Adams, would you help us out?
I think little Emily died too soon.
Who was Little Emily? Let's start at the beginning.
Little Emily, I think, was Ham Peggotty.
Mm-hmm. You're all right. Mr. Morley, how about the help?
I think it would have been incest.
I think they were
brother
and sister.
Ham and Little Emily?
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't. Oh, no. No, you got your relationships mixed up, Mr. Morley.
It wasn't Emily Peggotty.
Ham was in love with Little Emily, but remember that Little Emily did what, Mr. Kieran?
Well, Little Emily was in love with somebody else, wasn't she?
No.
Steerforth?
Yes, she eloped with him, with
That's
a handsome and wicked
That was
Steerforth.
another bore.
Yeah, that was another trouble.
And Steerforth was drowned, and Ham was drowned trying to save him.
Yeah, and that made the marriage reasonably impossible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cut it off.
Cut it off. By the way, what book are we all talking about, Mr. Kieran?
That is David Copperfield.
David Copperfield. All right, now we have another set. Why didn't Sleary and Minnie Bothkin marry? Mr. Kieran.
That was because Mr. Sleary, at the psychological moment, developed the apparent habit of throwing fits by a liberal use of Perry's shaving soap.
And that scared Miss Bothkin?
Yes, and because She thought he was afflicted that way, and he only became engaged to her in order to get a job to marry another girl.
That's a perfect
Which he
response.
did.
What's this all from, Mr. Kieran?
That's from Kipling.
What's the poem? It's a poem, isn't it?
Yes,
What's the
it
story
is.
is told?
I know that the vengeful Mrs. Boskin sits waiting for the Sleary children to develop Sleary fits.
That's the way it ends. Yes, from the post that fitted by Kipling. Now, how about this? Here's another set of characters. They don't have any real names, but one is called My Pretty Maid, and the other we'll call Sir. And why didn't they marry? Mr. Sandberg.
Well, that's in one of the old songs of...
You're all right, Mr. Sandberg?
if I had the time, I could think up the lines.
I have not the slightest doubt. Mr. Adams, how are you fixed?
Nobody asked you to, sir, she said.
So why didn't they... that is the reason, yes. What's the whole story? Mr. Morley, can you give us the lines before that?
Where are you going, my pretty
That's
maid,
right.
and so forth?
Yes?
I'm going a-milking and so forth.
Well, not and so
Then
forth.
I won't marry you, my pretty maid. Nobody asked you to, sir.
Good enough, Mr. Adams. All right. That gives us 3 out of 3. And now Mr. Rysdale, in the good old American tradition, puts the facts right on the barrelhead.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's worth your while to recall the plain ABCs of smoking. For so many of the qualities you enjoy in a cigarette, qualities like mildness and better taste, primarily depend upon fine tobacco. Yes, smokers, make no mistake. In a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts. And Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. For at auctions all over the South, year after year, the makers of Luckies consistently select and buy the riper, the lighter, the naturally milder Lucky Strike leaf. No wonder that with independent experts, auctioneers, buyers, and warehousemen, with men who know tobacco best, it's Lucky's 2-to-1. Smokers, aren't these simple facts worth remembering and worth acting on? Isn't it clearly to your own advantage to smoke the smoke tobacco experts smoke? Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
Mr. Rysdale, your 60-second summary of the facts surely calls for action. Let's see if we can get a little action out of this one from James Chapman of Elgin, Illinois. Associate the names of these men with the newspapers which each founded or helped to found. There are going to be 4 of them. We ought to get 3 out of 4. Benjamin Day. What newspaper? Mr. Adams.
The NY Sun.
The New York Sun, yes. Now, the Day family is pretty famous. Can you trace a couple of days for us, Mr. Adams?
Well, there was Benjamin Day, and there was Clarence Day, and there was Howard Lindsay,
And Russell Krauss and Life with Father, yes. Well, old Benjamin Day, who founded the Sun, had a son, S-O-N.
Clarence Day.
No, Ben Day. Now, what do you do, Mr.
Better
Kieran?
the screening
Ben Day
process
tint.
That's right, yes.
for reproducing pictures.
Yes, and it was his son who was the famous Day who became the hero of Life with Father.
Ben Day is now a verb.
Ben Day, yes, to Ben Day, B-E-N-D-A-Y. That's quite right. Now, how about Henry Watterson? What newspaper, Mr. Sandberg, do you associate with?
Louisville Courier Journal.
Yes, one of the great newspapers in American journalism. How about Alexander Hamilton? Mr. Morley?
New York Evening Post.
Right. Founded the New York Evening Post. What year would you say?
1801.
That's exactly right, Mr. Morley. Thank you. That gives us 3 out of 3. That's all we had.
The
Just
evening
3
has been deleted since then?
Yes, they don't call it the New York Evening Post any longer.
Noon
As most evening papers do, Mr. Sandberg. And how about this one from Herbert Weil of New York City? I'm going to give you a chemical symbol, and you are to quote a line of poetry in which the chemical is named. But I'll give you the technical symbol for it. Now, the first is AU. You give me a line of poetry in which, Mr. Kieran?
All that glisters is not gold.
Very good. AU is a symbol for gold.
Gold, aurum.
Aurum, yes. How about FE? FE. Mr. Adams.
The iron has entered his soul.
Yes, I don't know whether it's a line of poetry. Would you say it was? You'd say it was, yes, I guess so.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Yes, that again is a proverb rather than a line of poetry. How about the one beginning stone walls, Mr. Morley?
Nor I run bars a key.
Yes, that will do. And the FE stands for what Latin word?
Ferrum.
Ferrum, yes. And finally, AG. AG. Mr. Kieran.
Silver threads among the gold.
That's a very good one. AG stands for?
Argentum.
Argentum.
Silver threads among the AU.
That's very chemical indeed, Mr. Adams. Here's one from Dorothy L. Last of Plymouth, Wisconsin. What characters of fact or fiction made the following unequal exchanges? Now, the first one exchanged an umbrella for a life. An umbrella for a life. Gee, I guess that's got him stumped. Mr. Morley, there was a gleam of intelligence behind that beard somewhere. Little Blacks, Mr.
Not Mr. Chamberlain.
No.
Doesn't connect in any way with Artemus Ward calling at the White House in Lincoln, saying, I knew that umbrella, that big umbrella, when it was just a little parasol.
You know so much about Lincoln that you can answer any question with a story about Lincoln. That isn't fair. Mr. Morley.
I think it must have been Mrs. Gamp, the midwife, who laid aside her umbrella when she went in to deliver the baby.
Yes, but it isn't exactly exchanging it. No, in Little Black Sambo, the hero of that story, gave his little umbrella to one of the tigers who wanted to eat him. And in exchange for the gift, the tiger didn't eat him.
His green umbrella.
Was it green? Was it a green umbrella? Well, you knew everything. You knew the color, but you didn't know the answer, Mr. Adams. How about an exchange of an estate for a meal? An estate or legacy for a meal. Who did that, Mr. Adams?
Esau.
Esau, yes. What did he do?
He sold his birthright for a mess of pottage.
Yes, sold his birthright
Potage.
for a mess of pottage. What is pottage? What was
Probably
it?
potage, soup.
I don't know. Maybe some kind of cereal, possibly.
That's Hebrew for mulligatawny.
And mulligatawny, I suppose, is what?
Irish for
Mulligan.
Hungarian goulash.
We could go on this way forever. Who exchanged a daughter for a breeze? A daughter for a breeze. That's B-R-E-E-Z-E. This is a really tough one. Who exchanged a daughter for a breeze? Well, I don't want to hold you in suspense, gentlemen. It comes from Greek legend. Agamemnon sacrificed his daughter Iphigenia. Remember, his fleet was becalmed at the island of Aulis?
That's right.
And he sacrificed his daughter, or thought he had. In exchange for that, the gods allowed the wind to push him on to his destination, which was Troy. Well, I guess we lose a $50 war bond on that. And a set of the Britannica going to Dorothy L. Last, courtesy of Lucky Strike. Here's one from Kathleen Edison of East Point, Georgia. Where in American folk songs do you find a reference to the following odd animals? The first is a horse named Bill. A horse named Bill. In any American folk song, is there a reference to a horse named Bill, Mr. Sandberg?
Well, it's what you might term a highbrow folk song.
Well, would you sing it for us, even if it is highbrow?
Different verses made by many different people among the...
Pick out the purest and sing it for us, Mr. Sandberg. We have a pianist here who'll help you if you wish.
Oh, I had a horse, and his name was Bill, and when he ran, he couldn't stand still. He ran away one day, and also I ran with him.
That's the horse I was after, Mr. Sandberg. And now we'll switch from a horse to a goat. How about a reference to a William goat in an American folk song? A William goat. Any ideas, gentlemen? Mr. Sandberg, again? Oh, do you know? Do you know that, Mr. Adams?
I know the tune of it, about the William goat.
You do? How about the words? How about the words? Just let's have the words, Mr. Sandberg.
All I know is the first line, all I recall now.
What is the first line?
Mary had a William goat, William goat, William goat.
That's the one, and it goes on with a very long, complicated
Coughing up
story.
a flannel shirt and flagging a train at the end.
That's right. I wish we had time to tell the whole story, Mr. Sandberg. How about a reference to a dog named Trey? A dog, Mr. Adams.
Old dog Trey, ever faithful, grief could not drive him away. He is gentle, he is kind, you'll never find a better dog than old dog, by Stephen Foster.
That's exactly right. You fascinate me, Mr. Adams. And now how about this, from Mrs. Mary Gilmore of Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania. From where, from what point or point of vantage, according to the poem or song, were these sights seen? Let's have 2 out of 3. I'll quote the lines. And the moon rose o'er the city, behind the dark church tower. From where was that seen? Mr. Kieran, Mr. Morley.
Probably the Belfry of Bruges.
Nonsense.
I don't know. Mr. Kieran?
I think that was seen from the opposite shore. That's
Nonsense.
Longfellow's Paul Revere.
We got 2 nonsenses out of 3 so
Isn't that
far.
Longfellow's Paul Revere?
I stood on the bridge at midnight.
Oh.
He's right. Sure. Now, can't say nonsense to that, Mr. Kieran. I stood on the bridge at midnight as the what was striking the what, Mr. Adams?
As the clock was striking the hour.
That's brilliant. Very good. Yes, that's where the sight was seen, from a bridge. That's the only right answer. Now, how about this one? A lovely mermaid with a comb and a glass in her hand. From what point was that vision seen? Where was the observer when the mermaid with comb and glass in hand was seen?
Shipboard.
Yes, Mr. Kieran, shipboard, sure. It was Friday morn when we set sail. We were not far from land, and so forth, when the captain spied a lovely mermaid. How about this one? Now fades the glimmering landscape on the sight. Mr. Morley?
Collins's Ode to Evening.
Yeah, you've got the right century, but that's
Nonsense.
all.
Gray. Thomas Gray.
Yeah.
In Stoke Poge's churchyard.
Yes, it was from a churchyard that was seen. I think that you knew that. You just got your Gray and Collins mixed up. All right, now, before we go on to the next question, Mr. Cross tells us about a phrase that's packed with meaning.
Well, Mr. Fadiman, it's these words used to describe Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw. Ladies and gentlemen, there in a nutshell are certain outstanding qualities of a cigarette of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. You can verify these qualities for yourself with the first Lucky Strike you smoke. And as you enjoy the mildness and better taste of Lucky's fine tobacco, we think you'll understand better than ever before why, with men who know tobacco best, it's Lucky's 2 to 1. For obviously, independent tobacco experts want just what you want in a cigarette. And at the auctions down south, these auctioneers, buyers, and warehousemen can't help but see the makers of Lucky's consistently select and buy the riper, the lighter, the naturally milder Lucky Strike leaf. Smokers are tipped from the experts. Remember, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. That took 60 seconds. And now a question from Frederick Bundy, Jr. of Gloucester, Massachusetts. If you wanted to write these people, how would you address the envelope? In other words, where would they be? The first is, rather R, Madame L'Espanaye and her daughter, or L'Espanaye, I guess it would be, L'Espanaye. If you were writing a letter to the lady and her daughter, where would you address it? Of course, you have to know who they are. That's the catch in this question. Mr. Morley, somehow I suspect you know the answer.
City.
No, not even general delivery. Rue Morgue, Paris, France. Who are these people,
They
Mr.
were the
Morley?
people who were killed
Yes.
in the murders in the Rue Morgue.
Quite right. Well, that gives us one wrong. Now, suppose you wanted to address a letter to Lucinda Matlock. Mr. Sandberg.
Lewiston, Illinois, as the scene of Spoon River anthology.
Well, isn't the town actually Spoon River? Or is it...
No, there's no town named Spoon River.
There is no town.
Lewiston, Master's hometown, is on the Spoon River.
Oh, I see. And Spoon River itself is not a town, even in his book.
No, there is a river, though.
There is a river. But of course, you wouldn't address a letter to the river. How about this one? Miss Katrina Van Tassel. How would you address Miss Katrina, Mr. Morley?
I should think Sleepy Hollow, NY.
Sleepy Hollow, NY. And by the way, is Sleepy Hollow still existent, Mr. Morley? You know?
Yeah, not as a post office address.
I don't
but,
know. Do you know?
A country club. think there is
I think there's a place.
Valley called
Valley. Mr. Kieran, is you know?
I'd rather try Terrytown. As a post office.
Approximately the same, yes. How about this one? Where in poetry, this comes from Richard D. Smith of Bremerton, Washington, where in poetry do you find these lines that are all about the color red? His sins were scarlet. Mr. Kieran.
That's from the Ballad of Reading Jail.
No, I don't think so. When I am dead, I hope it may be said, his sins were scarlet, Mr. Morley.
But his books were red.
Yes, it's from Hilaire Belloc. How about multitudinous seas incarnadine? Where do you find that line? Mr. Kieran.
I think that's from, isn't that from Keats?
Oh, that's too wrong. Mr. Morley.
That's Macbeth.
Yes, it is. No, this my hand will rattle the
Making the green
multitudinous
one
seas,
red.
making the green one red. How about piece of scarlet flannel? Mr. Morley.
The Pobble, who had no toes, swam over the Bristol Channel, but before he set out, he bound his nose in a strip of scarlet flannel.
That's exactly right. I think we got two wrong on that one. No, that sends a $50 war bond to Mr. Smith and a set out of Britannica, and that's all we'll have time for. Thank you, Mr. Morley and Mr. Sandberg, for your wit and learning this evening. Now, in a few seconds, I'll announce next week's guests. Tonight, Lucky Strike has paid out 2 sets of the Encyclopedia Britannica and 2 $50 war bonds. And speaking of bonds, at this very moment in a dozen countries all over the world, men and women, just like you and me, are being driven from their homes by the Axis, forced into slavery in a strange land, torn from their children and from all they love. Don't forget, we're on the Axis list, too. Folks, this is the end of the month. The rent is due on the best home in the world. Pay it with the best investment in the world, war bonds. Next week, the old trio, Kieran, Adams, and Levant, will be batting them out, and our guest will be the military editor of the New York Times, recently returned from a trip to the Solomon Islands, Mr. Hanson W. Baldwin.
The Treasury Star Parade. Produced under the personal direction of William A. Beecher, with David Brookman and the Treasury Orchestra, and Ann Thomas and Eddie O'Shea in a radio play written especially for the Treasury Star Parade by J. Franklin Jones, entitled The Second Battle of Brooklyn. Your Master of Ceremonies, Vincent Price.
In this land of the free and the home of the brave is this town called Brooklyn. And in this town, there's a cute red-headed girl named Myrtle McGuire. I can't give you her phone number because her nearest telephone is down at the corner drugstore. But if geography will help you, go out and watch them bums, the Brooklyn Dodgers, play ball. And every time somebody busts a home run out of the park, it'll bounce into Bedford Avenue and almost into the McGuire's front parlor. And that's the scene of our story, the McGuire's apartment, with cute, talkative, average, red-headed Myrtle McGuire at the front door, calling up 2 flights of stairs to her boyfriend, Eddie.
Hey, Eddie! Eddie!
Yeah, Myrtle. What do you want?
Will you bring your hot water bottle down here right away?
Okay, Myrtle, right away. Hey, Myrtle. What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
Your mother sick?
I don't think so. She's at the movies.
Your kid brother?
No, Willie's out washing the dishes.
Are you sick, then?
Has somebody got to be sick?
So what are you going to do with this hot water bottle, then? Store gasoline in it?
I want to turn it in for scrap rubber.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Myrtle. That ain't fair.
I guess if I'm willing for them to turn my girdle into a flying fortress, I guess you can give up your old hot water bottle, too.
That ain't so old. Besides, it's the only one I got.
You got no use for it, Eddie. You bought it 2 years ago when you had a toothache, and now your toothache don't ache no more.
Of course it don't ache no more. I got it pulled out the next day.
You see, you haven't used it for 2 whole years. So it's going in my collection of scrap rubber for Uncle Sam. The government needs rubber, Eddie, something awful.
Okay, Myrtle, okay. I always lose.
Thanks. Maybe they'll make a barrage balloon out of it, huh, Eddie?
Yeah. Look, Myrtle, I ain't finished my supper yet. We got meat tonight. At what time we going dancing?
Oh, Eddie, didn't I tell you I can't go?
Oh, why not? We made the date last week. I said, is Tuesday night okay? And you said, yeah, Tuesday night is swell. I was with you. I heard you.
But I gotta go to a meeting, which I didn't know about then.
But Tommy Dorsey is playing. What kind of meeting?
The air raid warden.
What, again? Hey, if you ask me, you just want to go there so you can hang around that Louis Metzger.
Nobody's asking, you see. Besides, I'm not in the least ways interested in Louis Metzger, and you know it.
Last week we was going to go to Coney Island, and you got to go to a Red Cross meeting or something. It's always that way. One night it's air raid wardens, and then it's collecting rubber for the Red Cross, or selling bonds, or dancing at the USO. Every time I ask you to go someplace, you always got to go someplace else.
Tomorrow night I'm giving away a pint of my blood.
A pint of your blood? How you going to keep warm this winter?
Nevertheless, the president says we all got to do our parts, Eddie.
Sure. Ain't I doing mine?
You could still do more, Eddie.
Look, I am working in a defense plan, ain't I? All day Saturdays and part of Sundays, too. Everybody can't do everything, you know. You got to leave something for somebody else to do. You ain't Sergeant York.
We all got to get ready for the Second Battle of Brooklyn.
The what?
The Second Battle of Brooklyn, I said. Don't you hear good anymore, Eddie? You know, I think working in the defense plants has warped your eardrums.
Just stop there a minute and tell me one thing.
What?
Where was I when they was fighting the first Battle of Brooklyn?
Right here. Don't you remember 2 years ago?
Huh. You mean that Crucial series that the Dodgers and Giants set up at the Polo Grounds?
No, I don't mean any such thing. I mean the Battle of Brooklyn against the Nazis.
You mean Hitler and them Nazis is right here fighting on Bedford Avenue, and none of us knew about it?
Well, yes and no.
That is impossible, Myrtle. I would have at least read it in the newspapers.
You don't understand things easy, do you? I'm talking about the town of Brooklyn over in Holland.
Huh?
You see, our Brooklyn here in America is named after Brooklyn, Holland. Even though they're spell differences. While maybe they wasn't before, now they're one and the same thing, like Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy.
Never mind Charlie McCarthy. Stick to the point. When did I, where did I, and how did I ever get to fighting with Hitler in Brooklyn?
Well, if you'll just keep quiet long enough, Eddie, I'll tell you.
You've probably seen the whole thing in the movies with Don Amici.
We was all sitting there in our house in Brooklyn, Holland.
I told you I was never...
Remember it, Eddie? We was all sitting around the supper table. Me and Mom and Willie, and you was there too, Eddie, like always on Sunday nights. And like always, Mom was saying grace.
Our dear Father in heaven, bless this food this before us. We thank thee for it. And bless this our house. Give us wisdom and hope through this long night. Bless our soldiers at the front. Bless our flag. Bless our freedom. Amen.
Then it got quiet, Eddie. Nobody was talking much. Not even me. Nobody could hardly eat. It was like the bases was full and 2 outs. Everybody was scared, Eddie, and trying to let on they wasn't.
Mom, what you said when you were saying grace just now. Are you scared, Mom?
No, Willie, I'm not afraid.
Don't be, Mom. The Germans is at least 60 miles away still.
Willie, I wouldn't be afraid if they were marching down the street. None of us need to be afraid as long as we're on God's side.
They'll never get as far as Brooklyn, Mom.
Our army's strong, Mom, and besides, they opened the dikes this afternoon. Flooded everything. I heard it just before the radio went off.
There's nothing to worry about tonight, Mom.
Our defense line will hold till the British get here.
Sure, and the Germans couldn't get here tonight anyway, Mom.
Go on and eat, dear. Stop talking.
Then nobody said nothing, Eddie. Remember? You could only hear the clock on the mantel ticking. It got louder and louder. It was quiet, like we was all waiting for the dentist. Everybody just looked down at their plates, not eating, or else looked around the room. The crack in the ceiling. Seashell on the table. Mom's old china dog in front of the fireplace. And that clock kept on ticking. All of us kept on saying nothing. Just listening. Listening. And then they came, Eddie.
Here's the candle.
I can't see her, Mom. Mom, answer, Mom. There she is. There's Mom. She's crushed under the stone. Mom, help me pull her out, Eddie. Help me. Mom, help me.
Don't pull her that way, you crazy little fool. Stop it, Willie. You want to pull her head off? She's dead.
Mom.
And then the next day, they were there in the streets of Brooklyn. Only there wasn't no difference in the streets that morning. They all looked alike. Smashed houses, burning houses, dead houses. The only difference was the German soldiers in the streets everywhere. A German officer and 6 men were going from ruin to ruin. Soon they came to us. We all stood silent in front of what the night before had been our house. You, Eddie, and me, and Willie, and Mom's old china dog. The Germans knew everything like they was gypsy fortune tellers.
Our records show that 3 people lived in this house. A crippled old woman, a girl, and a boy. Where's the old woman?
You killed her last night.
Who are you?
A friend of the family.
You are the girl who lives here, and the boy?
Yes.
Yeah.
The girl will report to our headquarters at 3 o'clock, from where she will be sent to a farm to help with the spring plowing. The boy will report at 3:30, from where he will be sent to work in a factory in the Reich.
No, I won't do it.
Wait, Willie, don't run away. Come back, wait.
Fire!
If a boy doesn't wish to work for the right, we see that he doesn't have to work.
That was the first battle of Brooklyn, Eddie. We lost. We was shut out 100-0 like Hubble was pitching.
Myrtle, what has come over you? I love you, kid, and I always thought you was a little wacky, which was another reason why I love you, but I never heard you talk like that in my whole life. Is there something wrong with you?
There's nothing wrong with me, Eddie. I've just been thinking lately.
Yeah, talking, too. But look, Myrtle, we wasn't in no Battle of Brooklyn, and you know it.
Yes, we were.
How could we be in Brooklyn, Holland, when all the time we are right here on Bedford Avenue, Brooklyn, USA? How could we, huh?
Listen to me, Eddie, and try to get this through your thick head. We was in the first Battle of Brooklyn. All the little people in the world was in it. You and me and Mom and Willie and Sammy Feinschreiber down at the butcher shop. We were all little people. And like I said, all the little people in the world was in that battle. The Cohens and the Kellys and the Smiths and the Joneses, Joe Jokes and George Spelden. All the gentle, beautiful little people. You see, Eddie?
You talk like a merry-go-round.
This is a little guy's war, Eddie. Hitler ain't fighting kings and queens no more. What can a king do? Call up the Waldorf Astoria and ask to speak to the king, and they ask you which one. Here, the joint's jumping with him. This is the little guy's war, and all the king's horses and all the king's men can't do nothing about it. We're the only ones that can win it, Eddie. Only us, the little people, all dressed up in our halos and gas masks.
Okay, Myrtle, okay. I believe you. The first Battle of Brooklyn is over. But you says when I first come in here, you couldn't go dancing tonight on account of you had to get ready for the second Battle of Brooklyn.
That's exactly what I mean. That's why I do all the things I do.
Well, would you just tell me where they're going to have this second battle? Right here in Prospect Park?
How do I know? Maybe it'll be in Brooklyn, Holland again, or in Moscow, or Egypt, or Tokyo, or maybe right here in Prospect Park. But, Eddie, it's going to be the biggest World Series we ever seen. And we got to win this second Battle of Brooklyn, even if we got to drag old Dazzy Vance out of the bullpen.
We're going to win a war, all right, Myrtle. Don't get jumpy.
All us little people got to get jumpy, or else we won't. We got to do everything from knitting socks to shooting a gun. This ain't for peanuts and a hot frank out in the bleachers, Eddie. This is for all or nothing. This is for our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is for democracy. This is so the meek, the little people can inherit the earth.
So what do you want I should do? Go on a house-to-house search for hot water bottles?
Sure, if that's all you can do, you don't, but do something.
Now, don't get excited, Myrtle. I just asked you a question.
Don't you see, Eddie? You and me, we ain't never done much for this world, except eating, maybe, and going to Coney and drinking a beer. We ain't never wrote a song. We never even planted a shade tree. Never brought a kid in the world. Maybe we never will, but we gotta make it so other people can in the future. But they won't be able to unless we all win the second Battle of Brooklyn. We gotta pray and hope to do it. We gotta work and fight to do it. We gotta give away all our money maybe to do it. And we gotta have the guts to bury our kids with one hand and thumb our nose at Hitler with the other.
Well, that's what I've been saying all the time, ain't it? Buy war-saving stamps and lick the other side.
Yeah, that's it, Eddie. Part of it.
And, Myrtle, after it's all over, then will you go dancing with me at Coney?
Sure, Eddie. When they turn the lights back on at Coney and around the world again.
Yes, Myrtle. When the lights go back on at Coney Island, then there will be music and dancing and laughter and light for all the little people all over the world again. Because we here in America have pledged ourselves to destroy the evil in the world which darkens cities and destroys them, and the laughter and the music of the people in them. And we will destroy it at whatever cost. We will work unceasingly. We will fight unyieldingly. And we will save. We must save everything we can, raw materials, food, and money. And we must invest our money in war savings bonds, every penny that we can, every week or every payday. United States Treasury war savings bonds and stamps are your investment in the last great hope for freedom and happiness in the world. Buy them today, as often and as much as you can. They are your investment in the future security of America. Remember, this is your country. Keep it yours.
USA, the greatest entertainers in America, as requested by you, the fighting men of the United States Armed Forces throughout the world. Command Performance, presented this week and every week till it's over there. Hang on to your GI hats, men, for here's your big show. Command Performance coming down the beam of every shortwave station in the USA and scores of stations along the Allied nations' route to victory. Tonight, the letters that you number one Americans send to your War Department-sponsored number one show have called in one of America's greatest bands, the band of Jimmy Dorsey, with Bob Eberly and Helen O'Connell. You've ordered another appearance of that famous gentleman from Arkansas, Bob Burns. And you've asked for a young lady who has just returned from a 16,000-mile song trip through Alaska and the Aleutians, your mistress of ceremonies, Miss Frances Langford.
Life is like a song. At last, the skies above are blue. My heart was wrapped in clover the night I looked at you. I found a dream that I can speak to. A dream that I can call my own. I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill I've never known. You smiled, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven, and you are mine at last. A dream that I can speak to, a dream that I can call my own. I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill I've never known. You smiled, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven.
Thanks a lot, and hello, fellas. This is Francis, love to you guys in the AEF Langford, doing the play-by-play report of another session of the World Series known as Command Performance. When you were kids, I suppose you played post office, and the big thrill was getting a letter delivered by your best girl. Well, here on Command Performance, we play another kind of post office. You write in for the stars you want to hear, and then, presto, the stars are right here. For example, thousands of you want to hear a song called Tangerine, and to sing it, you want to hear Bob Eberly and Helen O'Connell. Come on out here, kids.
Thank you, Francis Langford. And, fellas, here's Bob Eberly. Go ahead, Bob.
Hello, gang. Listen, Helen, you're a swell kid, and we all love you. But Jimmy Dorsey and I have some business to talk over.
You mean I can talk to the AEF without you fellas butting in?
Well...
All right. Do your business. I'm not lonesome. I've got Sergeant Darnell to talk to somewhere in the land of sand, and Holmberg in Iceland, and a gang of devil dogs in the Virgin Islands. And hey there, Miller and the Rose Brothers at APO 826. It's a date for the first 3 nights after the duration in 6 months. And men, stay rugged. And Captain Hall, you're a miracle man to find time to write from Guadalcanal. And Bob Eberly and I are saying thanks to Grace Stevenson at an airdrome in England. Oklahoma is proud of you too, Miss Grace. Love to Pinto and 3 guys at APO 960. And to Pendleton and Burrell, somewhere west of the West Coast. The same to the 4 pineapples from Kansas, Idaho, and Massachusetts at APO 953. That's all we've got time for, fellas, but believe me, Jimmy Dorsey and the boys and Bob Eberly and I, well, shucks, here's that number you asked for, Tangerine.
Tangerine, she is all they claim. With her eyes of night and lips as bright as flame. Tangerine, when she dances by, senoritas stare, Cavalier sigh, and I sing toasts to Tangerine, raised in every bar across the Argentine. Yes, she has them all on the run, but her heart belongs to just one. Her heart belongs to Tangerine.
Chapeau by Deshay. Tangerine, with her lips of flame. If the color keeps, Louis Philippe's to blame. And I've seen clothes on Tangerine where the label says from Macy's mezzanine. Yeah, she's got the guys in a whirl, but she's only fooling one girl. She's only fooling Tangerine.
to Ellen O'Connell and Bob Everly, and to Jimmy Dorsey and the boys in the band. Jimmy's got a lot of hot stuff planted around here, and he'll be digging it soon. But right this minute, we're answering requests all the way from the Arctic to the equator. We get a lot of letters on Command Performance asking for the one and only Bob Burns. So all you guys listen sharp, because here's that sharp guy from the Razorback country, Bob Burns.
Jimmy, that's beautiful. I get better music than that when I let the water out of my bathtub. No, of course, I'm just kidding about that, Jimmy. Honestly, you've got a wonderful band. I've always wanted to lead that band of yours right off the end of the Santa Monica Pier. But I declare, boys, I don't know what to talk about tonight. Of course, I know Francis Langford introduced me as being from the Razorback country. And I don't mind that introduction because we're proud of our Razorbacks down in Arkansas. Them's the kind of hogs we need in times like this. I'm telling you, they can put up with anything. You can't hurt them. They're the toughest hog in the world. I'll never forget one time that my Uncle Fudd, he was blowing out stumps and he was using dynamite, and he expected to touch the dynamite off the next day. But one of them Razorback hogs got to rooting around out there, and he swallowed 214 sticks of dynamite. Well, sir, that afternoon, long about 2 o'clock, this hog was fooling around in the barn, and a mule kicked him. That dynamite went off, and it blowed down the barn and knocked all the windows out of the house 140 yards away. And I want to tell you, for a couple of days, we had a mighty sick hog on our hands. Now, Frances Langford just come back. She told me while she was up in Alaska, she was talking to some of the boys up there, and them boys said they saw some pretty big mosquitoes up there, and they wondered if them mosquitoes could be some Arkansas mosquitoes. Well, I want to tell you, boys, they could be Arkansas mosquitoes, because our mosquitoes, they do get around. I remember one man told me that one time he was coming down the Arkansas River in a boat, and he tied up right at the mouth of Frog Bayou, and that's the name of the place, the creek. And he said that night a flock of mosquitoes swooped down and made off with 500 yards of canvas and 1,800 feet of tarred rope. He said 2 years later he was rounding the Horn. You know where the Horn is? Well, I don't. But anyhow, he said he was rounding the Horn 2 years later, and he saw them same mosquitoes. And I asked him how in the world he knew them was the same mosquitoes. And he said because every last one of them was wearing canvas pants and rope suspenders. Well, now, you boys, you don't have to worry about them mosquitoes, though. I've got a few little... No, you'll know the Arkansas mosquito if it does happen to be one of them Arkansas mosquitoes, because you can't miss them. Because they've all got a white spot right in the middle of their forehead, just about the size of your two fists. That is, the females have. The males, you can tell them in a minute. They're the only mosquito in the world that's got antlers like a deer. Of course, now, them are the soft-biller. They won't hurt you. I know they're soft-billed mosquitoes because one night we was camped out down at Frog Bayou, and some of them mosquitoes swooped down and they made off with 180 cases of salmon. And we knew they were soft-billers because they come back the next day for the can opener. Now, them mosquitoes, they get pretty big. They won't hurt you. Now, they're not poisonous. Because they just won't hurt you, that's all. The only trouble with them is they do give you quite a kick when they take off. But as I say, they get pretty big. I'll never forget one night I woke up about 2 o'clock, and there was 2 of them big mosquitoes standing on the foot of the bed, and they was looking at me and talking about me. And one of them says, do you think we better eat him here or take him down to the bog? And the other one says, no, we better eat him here. If we take him to the bog, one of the big uns will take him away from us. But now then, they're not, as I say, they're not poisonous. Now, now we have got a poisonous mosquito down there, but they don't get very big. They don't get much bigger than a turkey. But they are the hard-billed type. I'll never forget this time, boys, if they bite you, look out, because the only antidote for them is to let a rattlesnake bite you. I'll never forget the time that we was riding along, Papa and I was riding along in a wagon, and here come one of them poisonous mosquitoes. He comes swooping down and made for the mules. Well, sir, the mules saw him coming, and they jumped apart real quick, and this mosquito stuck his bill right in the middle of the wagon tongue. Do you know that wagon tongue started turning black and started to swell up? And Papa jumped out of the wagon with an axe, and do you know he chopped the tongue off just in time to save the wagon? Look out, boys. I'll see you
Thank you, Bob Burns. That was swell. Well, men, our job on Command Performance is to serve as personal secretary to each one of you. You just say, take a letter, and we'll do the rest. Right now, I'd like to check my shorthand notes with a few of you out there. Corporal Martino at APO 825, that was a swell letter. To the officers and men on a certain U.S. submarine in foreign waters, I got your telegram okay, and I'm singing for you tonight. Hello to Miss Briggs at that express company down in Rio, and to Zimmerman and Yoker in the islands, and to Corporal Redmond, 5 sergeants, and Lieutenant Peters at APO 865. Please keep those laurels. You're the guys who earned them. To 4 Birmingham boys at APO 922, we're answering your radiogram tonight. Hello to Rosito and the Navy, and Mayloon and Swinky somewhere in Hawaii. And Don Rosano at APO 862. With men like you and your buddies, and you know who I mean, our independence and spirit will survive the test. So to all of Uncle Sam's fighting men everywhere, and especially for Captain Setzer and Lieutenant Gates and all those swell new friends up there in Alaska, here's a song just for you.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. You made me love you. And all the time you knew it. I guess you always knew it. You made me happy sometimes. You made me sad. But there were times, dear, you made me feel so glad. You made me sigh, for I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to tell you. I want some love, that's true. Yes, I do. Deed, I do. You know I do. Gimme, gimme, gimme what I cry for. You know you've got the brand of kisses that I'd die for. You know you made me love you. You know you've got the brand of kisses that I'd die for. You know you made me love you. You
hasn't Jimmy Dorsey been awfully quiet tonight? Say, Jimmy!
What is it, Francis?
Jimmy, why don't you say something to the AEF? Oh, give them a happy comeback or a couple of Joe Miller jokes.
Nah, those guys want glamour, I know.
Oh, you think so? What about Monty at the U.S. Naval Hospital at Pearl Harbor? And the men at Balboa? What about Cameron and the construction workers in Northern Ireland? The guys at APO 616 and La Spada on that battleship we can't mention.
Gal, you're arousing my curiosity.
Jimmy Dorsey, do you know what Corporal Donahue said about the gang at APO 845?
Lay it on me easy, Francis.
He says they'd even miss chow if you'd give out with that Jimmy Dorsey version of the 1 o'clock jump.
That's for me, Francis. And hey, you guys, here it is.
was Jimmy Dorsey and his orchestra in the Lullaby for Hepcats, or the 1 o'clock jump. And now, fellas, I see that we're just one jump ahead of the studio clock, so we better take time out and make it a date again next week. This is Frances Langford, thanking all of you for inviting us to your big show and saying love and good night from the USA.
Command Performance USA, the greatest entertainers in America, answering the requests of Uncle Sam's fighting men and our civilian workers and friends in all the United Nations. Command Performance is presented by the War Department of the United States of America. This is Don Wilson saying send those letters to Command Performance in care of this station, and this nation will see that they're answered each week and every week till it's over there. So long, men.
Yank, the Army Weekly, presents G.I. Jive. Here it is, fellas, the music you asked for, G.I. Jive, the AEF jukebox of the air. To get what you want in jazz, right. The only address you need is Special Service, Los Angeles, USA. Just put your requests in, and out will come your favorite bands and singing stars. Well, men, as the governor of North Carolina said to the governor of South Carolina, well, beat my chops, Pops. I hear tell there's going to be a riff session around this here territory, so let's hinge on to it just lightly and politely. Yes, the good old cat was right, because we're fixing the kicks up right now, and you'll be getting them in a minute. All you have to do is lean back while we blow it out the old jukebox. So look out, it's a stomp treatment of Hallelujah. That ought to cool everybody off long enough to listen to a short GI blurb from the news. In Washington, government officials recently had a look at a new marine tractor that takes the place of a tugboat and costs only about half as much. The new tractor will pull from 4 to 6 loaded barges, while a tug can take care of only 3 barges. The new United States invention can be built in a week as compared against 18 months for a tug, and it requires a crew of only 2 or 3 men as compared with 7 to 9 of the tugboat. Well, best of all, the new marine tractor can be taken apart in 4 sections and shipped in airplanes to the fighting zones, and all of which adds up to another headache for Schickelgruber and Tojo, and ought to get everybody in an amiable mood for listening to The Spirit's Got Me, Mrs. Dorsey's little boy, Jimmy.
The devil was walking by the road one night, and all the Lord's children just shook with fright. Children, said the Lord, is you going to be scared? Just hit that old devil till you kill him dead.
Oh, we kill the devil. Kill the devil. Oh, spirit's got us now.
I went to the prayer meeting church today, and the preacher man, he had lots to say. Brethren, he said, for our coals to roll, drop your money in the box, and I'll pray for your soul.
Nice stomping, Jimmy, nice stomping. And now back to the GI News. Medical Corps reports from the Middle East, North African, and China-Burma-India theaters show that the United States Army has won an almost complete victory over diseases which can be prevented by inoculations. In the China-Burma-India theater, there were no cases among our troops of cholera, tetanus, or smallpox. There was 1 case of typhus and 12 of typhoid. This record covers the year ending last July, in which time there was but 1 man lost from a typhoid case. In the Middle East and North Africa, there were but 4 mild cases of typhus and no one lost in the 12 months period. And that's good news. And here's good music. It's the Satanic Blues by the Chamber Music Society of Lower Basin Street. I think we've got time to slip in one more small but interesting item. The new United States 57-millimeter gun, revealed to be in use by our troops against the Germans, is called by the War Department a modified and improved version of the British 6-pounder. Used chiefly as an anti-tank gun, our new 57 has replaced the 37-millimeter because of heavier armor on German tanks. As the Nazis brought in heavier and better protected tanks, the 37's effectiveness dropped. The 57-millimeter is the Army's answer, and by now the Germans have been made to know it, so it's no military secret. However, just for no reason at all, we're going to give out with Claude Thornhill's arrangement of... It's a military secret.
Don't talk about the weather.
It's a military secret.
Just keep your wits together.
That's the safest way to keep it. These are critical times. Be careful of espionage.
In such critical times, you gotta watch out for sabotage. I've gotta talk to someone.
Don't give any information.
It's smart to be a dumb one.
Simply change the conversation. Let's just talk about love.
'Cause that's what I'm thinking of. And it's no military secret that I love you. Talk to someone.
Don't give any information.
It's smart to be a dumb one.
Simply change the conversation. Let's just talk about love.
'Cause that's what I'm thinking of. And it's no military secret that I love you.
Well, that puts us way down at the bottom of the old bounce bin, men, so we'll have to call a halt on this little clam bake. But keep an eye peeled for return engagement of the old jukebox very soon. Until then, so long, and I'll be seeing you. This program was produced by the Special Service Division of the War Department of the United States of America.
Eddie's. You've been at ease for the past quarter hour with music by Al Goodman and his orchestra. Songs were Stormy Weather, If I Loved You, and Intermezzo. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
Thank you.